Hello, everyone, and welcome to podcast number 45. This is Terry Miller, the disc golf guy.
Did you forget who you were?
No, I was thinking... Never mind. I was thinking of something else. But anyway, I'm also joined here in our Milwaukee-based studios by Jonny V. And Jonny, we got another show lined up tonight.
Every Tuesday. Every single Tuesday. No matter who tells you that we're not going to be there. If it's your grandma, if it's your grandpa. I don't know what that internet thing is.
We've only missed
How do they talk to
we
you?
have missed a few Tuesdays, but only
Yeah.
because we were live on, say, Wednesday through Saturday of that week.
Give or
but
take,
yes,
yeah.
for the most part, we are here every single Tuesday, and I'm going to go ahead and reiterate for you guys, you can watch us in 720. If you click on the gear on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you can watch us in higher resolution, assuming that your internet capabilities are up to it. And this might be a shocker to a few. This is something different. You could download our podcast in an audio-only version.
I was going to say this, and I think it's in my notes for the show, which I haven't pulled up. But even if you're watching live, or you're listening, or you're watching on YouTube on, say, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, do me a favor. Do us a favor. Go out and subscribe to the podcast anyway. Just bump up our numbers.
Uh-huh.
And you don't ever actually have to listen to it, but then we will be there for you if you ever need us.
And so let's give a real quick recap on how a lot of podcast apps work on your phone.
Yeah.
Because some people aren't necessarily familiar with that idea or that concept. So if you are not watching us live or even recorded on YouTube, how do most podcast apps work?
Most podcast apps work like this. You download a podcast app, say the built-in one with your iPhone, or you go with something like Pocket Casts, or there's like 2 or 3 other ones. I don't even know because I use Pocket Casts. You search for a podcast that you want to find.
Step 2.
Step 3 is you say download automatically when this becomes available, and then usually Tuesday night after the show when I upload it. If it's a long night, I'll wait till Wednesday. Your phone will automatically suddenly say, "Oh look, Jonny and Terry are in my phone."
What
We
more
are
could
sitting
you
there.
ask for?
You couldn't ask for anything more. We're sitting there. We're waiting for you. We're
Come
waiting.
out, come listen to us. Come listen to us.
We're waiting to talk to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's how...
You can talk back, but we're not going to hear you. But you're definitely...
Yeah, so those are some of the things that can be done, is that you can certainly download us. That's been available all the way from podcast number 1 that has been available. I think that's the true definition of a podcast. This is more like a live show. I mean, it's a live broadcasted show, but the definition of podcast, meaning that you can download it, you can listen to it, and again, a lot of those apps will automatically download it. So wherever you go, it's there. You can listen to it. You can stop and start it. If you have a 30-minute drive to work, hit play. When you get into work, hit play again.
It won't feel like 30 minutes, I guarantee you.
No.
45, 50 maybe.
It may feel like a lifetime because you're listening to us too.
Yeah.
So anyway, those are a few of the things. We just want to reiterate, I know we're 45 shows in, but we do still frequently get questions or people that say, "Oh, I missed the show. Is there anywhere else I can see or hear it?" And that's kind of a funny question because there are lots of other ways to see and hear us.
I guarantee at least once a month for the past 4 or 5 months.
More than that, yeah.
Someone asks, "Now, can I get this after the fact? How do I watch you guys after?" And I'm thinking, you can watch us on YouTube after, or you can listen to us on a podcast. So
isn't that Throne show on Tuesday nights, Game of Thrones?
Sunday nights.
What was Tuesday? Walking Dead?
No, that's Sunday nights as well.
Damn it. There was some show that directly conflicted with our broadcast.
One of the podcasts I used to watch conflicts with us. They go on at 9 o'clock on.
Well, maybe you should go do that.
One of my suggestions, one of my weekly picks was Tuesday nights. So.
All right. Well, anyway, those are lots of different things going on. We just want to make sure that everyone knows that we're available in lots of different ways. So we appreciate it. Of course, if you're live, the huge advantage there is you can interact with us. We see people on the board regulars like our beautiful DG Mike, who says he wants to see our faces. So we appreciate that. Michael, Minnesota Prop Brothers, he's always here. And there's a whole bunch of people that are usually tuned in, and we really, really appreciate it. So
It's like our own little army.
yeah, we're happy to have
We've
you guys.
got a smashy army.
Our true smashies. So glad you guys could be there. And if you're watching live, please go out and share the link with everyone so others can join in.
That's right.
Is there anything else going on this week? No, it's just this right now. So
Yeah, just us
just
right
us. Anyway,
now. Let's get to our first segment.
which is
Boom goes the dynamite.
How you doing, Dana?
Oh man, I'm furiously researching because this last week, Brian Henniger, who sat in with the Insider Show at the European Open, he killed it with his stats and did a great job. So Brian's put the pressure on me, and I need to step my game up.
yes, you do.
Well, you have more hair than him. I'll say that.
I don't know what that gains him.
We'll call that a point, Dana.
Point Dana.
Point Dana. All right.
He was our PDGA
Executive
director. So point Brian.
Mm-hmm. He has a super nice and adorable, very intelligent and just soft-spoken, yet so friendly and wonderful wife, Lori.
Oh no, that's point both.
Oh, okay.
Because we know Ashley.
All right, yeah,
She's
that's a wash. You
and
get all that could be said of Ashley.
wonderful and all those other good things. At least that's what Dana tells me.
He has an awesome accent and says things like a boot.
A boot, but point for Brian, he can pronounce every foreign name.
Yes, I think you hacked through a number of those last week, Dana. And I'm not saying we wouldn't. That's why we leave the job to you. But
right.
If we want name pronunciation, we need to be calling him.
Yeah.
Why don't you guys Skype him in? You got his Skype?
See you later, Dana. No.
Don't know what you're talking about.
A boot. So.
I enjoyed the show. If everyone out there, I'm assuming most of you know, but the European Open took place in Finland last weekend, and in lieu of live coverage, they opted to go with a after show dubbed the Insider Show every night, which had it had clips and top 5 shots and interviews, and then it had the stat corner with Brian Henniger, who we're referencing now. So it was very good stuff. Jonny, I know you tuned in. Terry, did you check any of those out?
I view them as competitors, so I pretty much blocked the internet now. Of course I tuned in. I couldn't give it my full attention every single day, but I was pretty close to it. And from we'll talk about it a lot more later in terms of specifics with their show and their broadcast. But overall, yeah, they knocked it out of the park, and I think they did a really good job. And it was very informative. And you're right, you need to step up your game. I mean, really.
Yeah. Well, let me get to stepping. So we European Open, we had familiar faces at the top of both divisions. It was only the pro men and pro women yet again. Previous weekend in Scandinavia, same thing. Starting with the ladies' side, got to give a big shout out to Katrina Allen. Not only did she win again, but she absolutely killed it during the second round. She shot a smoking hot -5 under par, which was a 59, and unofficially rated 1039. One of the best rounds of golf shot by a female in PDGA history on that style or that SSA of a course. And that round, she actually capped it off with a monster putt on the 18th hole. And from there it was smooth sailing for the current women's world champion, and I've got to say, 2 majors in a row. She has to feel good going into Pittsburgh.
Yeah, just around the corner from defending her title as her current reigning women's world champion. And one of the cool stats that Brian had then mentioned, and you just somewhat referenced, saying that it was one of the highest rated rounds. She, in fact, holds the 2 highest rated rounds of any SSA for women.
Yep.
So regardless of what course you put her on, she currently has 2 of the highest rated rounds ever for women. And that's also a nice notch on her belt. It speaks volumes when you talk about how competitive that field is, with really the top 4 or 5 really battling it out just about every single weekend. And then for Katrina to excel, and we'd all have to say at just the right time. I mean, Katrina hasn't maybe dominated as much this year as she has last year and in previous years, but to step it up and take care of business while you're overseas, there's no better time to do it.
Right. She's getting hot at the right time, and for a while earlier this year, it looked like Paige was going to continue to win every single tournament she played, but I'll get to her in a minute. Finishing second was Sarah Hokum, who continued her solid play. She took second at both of the European events over the last 2 weeks, and Valerie Jenkins finished in third for the second weekend in a row. So no changes, first, second, and third for 2 weeks in a row. And you know what, Sarah Hokum, she's coming back. I've been talking about it every week. I've been keeping an eye on her, and she's really bounced back from the rough year that she had last year, and she's finding herself back at the tops of the leaderboards. And I believe that these Pittsburgh courses will play to her strong suit. She's a very good wooded player, and she's very good at scrambling. So watch out for Sarah Hokum in Pittsburgh. The courses are pretty wooded, much like the Charlotte courses. So maybe Sarah's starting to peak at the right time. And as I mentioned earlier, Paige Pierce was there and she played, but she wasn't playing at her usual high level. One has to speculate on if her ankle really is 100%. During the inside show, she did guest one night, and she said she is healthy, but she's kind of getting over the mental side of the injury, getting used to having that ankle actually be 100% and to stop thinking about it and babying it. So if the injury isn't bothering her physically all that much, I've got to wonder about her decision to skip Scandinavia the weekend before, and if that ultimately hurt her chances to win in Finland. Maybe it gave her time to get the ankle fully healed and she didn't have to go slop around in the mud, so maybe it was a good call, but showing up only a couple days before a major in another time, I don't even know what time zone are they in. That's the jet lag and everything. That had to be tough.
We're not going to do time zones this week. We tried that last week.
You tried and failed. You're usually pretty spot on about a lot of things, but the fact your mind was blown over that time zone thing.
No, it was a mistake on the website, which totally messed me up. So
if it was on the internet, it had to be true. So
that's what I
think you made the mistake.
Well.
Yeah, in fact, I'm kind of chatting directly with Paige on Facebook right now. I'm going to see if we can get a few insights or some answers from her, and I'm obviously not trying to pry too much here, but I know that she usually shares things with us, and we'll see if she chimes in on anything as to if she was feeling off at all, or maybe what some of the decision was as to why she wasn't in Scandinavia. She said that, and she just writes back as I'm saying this, she said she was super sleepy and starving the whole time. So it just sounds like...
I wonder if the cuisine wasn't to her liking, which is maybe... I mean, you figure you're overseas. Maybe it's some things you're not used to. You're used to being able to go to the grocery store, buy your normal fruits and vegetables.
Or packages that you recognize what they say.
Yeah,
I know when I've traveled internationally,
and
you're looking at something like, oh, this is just really another word for,
for chocolate or something.
Yeah.
But maybe it was something, the time change, the lag, not getting there, like Dana said, with a couple days, to get used to that type of shift. And then your eating habits are off and everything. I mean, yeah, she probably would have finished. Well, I can't say that. She may have finished better had she had more
little bit
acclimation time.
Or been in her zone and had, like you said, Dana and you said, talking about just getting there a little bit earlier and whatnot. I think part of the reason that you're seeing, and she's kind of sharing a few things with me, but when you're talking about going over there, and we can talk about money and we can talk about payouts all day long till we're blue in the face, but you need to perform at your highest level in order to make those trips worthwhile financially.
Correct.
Of course, worthwhile is pretty subjective, and everyone can say, well, you get to travel across the world to play disc golf in other countries. Yeah, but you don't pay your bills with memories. And so I think for all of our players, they have to make conscious decisions, and I think that's why you saw a lot of players not go over to Australia very early in the year, because it was a very costly trip.
Sure. And
to go over there, and if you're not winning or taking second, you're taking a loss on the trip.
And it obviously goes to who paid for her flight. Was it Prodigy? There's all sorts of things we don't know.
Yes.
Hopefully, someone covered something for her and that it wasn't too much out of pocket. Because you're right, for these pros that go over there, if they're not, if they're not cashing first or second, even second's tough.
Yeah, the overall trip may be at a loss.
Correct.
So, I mean, there's a lot of different reasons, and I think we're seeing more and more players get there, and they're finding more help in a way to get overseas.
Sure.
But anyone that has any clue about traveling anywhere in the world internationally, it's just not. It's an expensive proposition, and some players, I think, are just choosing when and when it's right to strike or make the most of it. So.
Yeah, I mean, I did see. I don't know if this was open to her, but a lot of the other Prodigy players went over and they did a week of clinics, and you gotta assume that there was probably a little bit of money involved in that, or a little help from their sponsor with that. But yeah, we could talk about it all day, and let's just move on to the men's side.
Real quick, I'm just gonna give you a few last things because she shared them with us. She said, because I asked her why she was hungry all the time, because I mean, nobody asked me why I'm hungry. No, but she said that just the food was not as readily available, and every time she wanted to go eat, she was either playing around or some of the restaurants were closed, and I think that could maybe be attributed to the daylight and the time shifts and all those different things happening. So it just sounds like maybe some of her just timing, she wasn't in the swing of things, and she missed out on some of the cold drinks, the smoothies, and some of the other benefits there. And then I said, any other final things you want to share? And she said, I love the disc golf guy. So thank you, Paige. We love you too. All right, now move on to the men's side. I think that's everything. Thanks to Paige for the unofficial, interview.
There you go.
Yeah, the insider interview.
That's right.
Hey, wait a minute. That might be trademarked. We did not say insider.
We're the outside show.
Yeah, we're the outside. Step outsider of the SmashBoxx.
There you go.
All right. Go on, Dana.
Okay, on to the men's side. Like Kat, Paul McBeth took home his second major of the trip. Spoiler alert there. Started with the win. But the race was a heck of a lot tighter than the ladies' side, though. Paul did lead the whole tournament. He actually started out the tournament shooting a pretty ridiculous 12 under, 52, almost 1080 something rated round. But anyways, Paul held on to the lead at the end of every day, and it was not until late in the fourth round until Ricky actually managed to tie him up. And unfortunately for Ricky, it was pretty short-lived. He was unable to keep his share of the lead, as he could not get onto the 16th green in his first few tries.
Well,
16th green.
You saw his first shot, didn't you? On that.
I heard he got a nice break.
He hit a cameraman that was sitting like right on the edge of OB. The cameraman was just OB.
I am sick and tired of too many damn cameramen out there covering our sport. No, I'm just kidding.
And it, which is funny because
Was the cameraman inbounds or out of bounds?
Out of bounds.
Okay.
Like leaning on the line.
Oh, okay, which is
out is out. And the way he threw it, the way Ricky threw a forehand shot, which was coming. It took the funniest skip, I thought, because it looked like it was coming away from the cameraman. It hit, bounced back towards the cameraman. The cameraman tried to like jump out of the way. It looked like it caught the cameraman's foot or something along those lines and came right back in bounds. Had the cameraman not been there, I'm almost certain it would have been out of bounds.
Wow.
So he got a break there originally, and then like Dana said, he put the next 3 OB, which, because the bunker rule, only 1 stroke. He did not get the stroke penalty. It was only a 1-stroke throw. He just had to
your
keep
throw
doing.
counts, but
Yep.
you did not get a penalty stroke for doing such. So.
Had he gone out of bounds off the tee, he would have to re-tee. So, and that actually could have maybe saved him a stroke, depending on where he landed. So there's all sorts of what ifs.
Yeah. And I actually saw Ricky. It's not the first time he's hit a camera guy. I saw him hit one at the Fort Silicon Open last year. But anyways, Ricky, he, he fought hard and got himself there all the way to the lead, and it just wasn't in the books for him. He did go on to birdie 17 and 18, while McBeast only needed to go par to seal the deal. You know what? Can we drop the A from McBeast?
You want to
McBest?
You want to call him McBest?
Wow.
I don't know. That's
you
that's,
can.
That's dumb, but
I think some would argue it's not dumb. I mean, some would argue lots of different things all day long, but in terms of if he's the best or not. But there's a lot of different conversation and speculation out there as to if he's going to make any kind of run at what Kenny's done.
Yeah, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but I'm sure we could talk to Chuck, who probably has access to a lot of the old, if we just went according to Worlds, all the old World scores, to see what the players were shooting, competitive,
all right, I got
all
it.
that other stuff.
Let's total up their World scores. Who's thrown the most at Worlds?
There you go. That sounds like a pretty objective way to do it.
Yeah.
Just most throws.
That's the only fair way.
Exactly.
I was more referencing he's the current best
Yes.
golfer. That
Yeah.
we all pretty much knew that, especially after he won 2 majors back to back here. He won the early major in the year out in Australia. A couple of weeks to go, and we'll see if he can continue on winning majors.
He's
get his 4th in a row.
Yeah, I mean, we have 5 majors this year.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see him hit the Grand Slam of majors and get. Can you call it a Grand Slam if there's 5? I mean, Grand Slam.
Sounds like a Denny's Grand Slam if you get 5. maybe we got a new sponsor in the works there.
Yeah, I mean, Grand Slam implies 4.
I know, but maybe Denny's gives you a little extra.
Denny's does give you a little extra. So, I mean, he's got that back issue right now, and hopefully that heals up for him. He's out caddying for some of the juniors.
Yeah, at AM Worlds
right now. I don't know if he's actually caddying, but he's walking with them.
Yeah,
at
today
AM
he
Worlds.
was. Yep.
So hopefully that back is feeling all right.
Yeah, we'll see. It's nice that he's got a little time to relax this week and get rehab it and rest and do whatever he needs to do. I'm sure he'll be ready to go come Worlds. And let's talk about second place at the European Open. All weekend it was a revolving door of players. We had KJ Nybo in and out of second place, Will Schustrick, and then ultimately Wysocki. And Big Germ tried to make his way up to second place during that final round. He popped off a smoking 53 to jump all the way into third place, with Will Schustrick falling behind Germ to 4th. So congratulations to Germ for the solid finish. On the Insider Show, another insider reference, did you guys see his upshot on 18?
Yeah.
That lucky skip?
Yeah,
that was incredible.
It skipped up. I mean, that took another funny skip, but then it landed on the hay bales and just sat on the hay bales. And there's not a lot of room. The hay bale, the ledge was, I think it's smaller than the actual disc width. So, I mean, it just It was close to it, at least. It was a funny, and you could see he was excited. He was pretty pumped about it.
Oh yeah.
Quick question about that hay bales, plural. There. Are they necessary? This isn't an elevated. It's somewhat of an elevated basket conversation.
Yeah.
So I mean, you could go there, and I'm not just going with elevated, but with the challenge of the hole, the layout of the hole, the final hole, and then I mean this in the most respectful way, but they're hay bales.
Yeah.
Could they be dressed up if it was some kind of official podium or platform looking thing that was maybe, some kind of wooden structure or something that was, I'll say dressed up. Something that was dressed up a little nicer, as this is the finishing hole at this major. And there's hay bales on hole 17 at USDGC, 2 holes before that tournament concludes. And again, it's a major, and they've done so many great things. I looked at those hay bales today, and I just thought, hay bales.
I know.
On the final hole. This course is gorgeous. The baskets are gorgeous. Everything they've done is nothing short of gorgeous.
The scoreboard.
The scorecards, for God's sakes. They spent more money on their scorecards, I think, than most tournaments do on all of their tournament supplies. And then I just see hay bales.
Yeah, and I don't know left from right, but could it be...
Straw poll. Hey-yo.
I know.
Yes.
I know.
Hashtag straw poll. But I think we should straw poll it.
I was about to say, is there a reason for the hay bales? Is that area a farming area? Are there a lot of... I know.
Oh.
I don't know. Should it have been cell phones?
Are the lions
They're in Nokia.
Lion and tin can coming through too? No, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think they needed something to put on top of there, and I think there's a lot of other more pretty, dressed up things that could be there instead of hay bales.
You quite literally could have tucked a black sheet over the hay bales.
Absolutely. That would have pleased me.
I know.
A black sheet, and maybe even a little branding on the black sheet on the bottom, or not.
Yeah.
But a black tablecloth covering those hay bales, so they weren't hay bales. If you even need the elevated pin on the final hole.
Correct.
Because would it be fun, and this isn't probably going to happen, but you're elevating it to add challenge. Would it be fun if Paul Macbeth got there, and for whatever reason, he has some brain farts, and he 4-putts that, just going back and forth across at this elevated basket? Would that have been fun for any spectators to watch? Maybe not fun, it would have been dramatic, but would it have been fun? I guess you think, when you have an elevated basket, what are you trying to accomplish? And I'm okay with them. I just don't know if you need it on a 600-700 foot hole, par 4 at the final hole of a major, and then it's sitting on top of hay bales. And if UC wants to call into the show and yell at me, maybe.
UC's been pretty vocal on social media lately,
and that's fine.
So.
And again, I'm not even picking on him or the event.
No.
It's just it's an odd call to me to have that at the very end. So that's a random rant I wasn't really planning on. Sorry.
No, I think that's a pretty valid point that you have. I hadn't thought about that, but everything is so above and beyond the norm there at the European Open. Everything is just they go about they do everything great, and then some hay bales. I see what you're saying. I hadn't really thought of it, but something for UC to think about if he's tuned in, or if Jamie's tuned in,
or if there was a tie-in, like you were saying. I know if there was a legitimate tie-in that all of a sudden Macbeth hops on a horse and they gallop off, holding up the trophy. Okay, there's at least some kind of tie there, or maybe some kind of twine in to that. Anyway, all right, go on. Sorry.
You make good points, and then you just start talking about horses, Nokia cell phone.
They're in Nokia. I mean, come on.
Yeah, and Ricky Wysocki was trying to twine it up.
Dana, we're gonna ignore him. I'm this close to muting his mic because I have control right here.
You think Brian Henniger has to deal with this stuff?
No, definitely not.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So, continue with your stats, Dana.
Is he muted? All right, so here in
He
the
is now.
States, we did have a few A tiers. The West Side Disc presents the Rogers Concrete Open in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and we had the Showdown in Sheldon, Washington. Johnny McRae in 2014 actually lost the playoff to Paul Ulibarri at the Showdown.
So
Flash
Matt,
forward to this year, Johnny took down the Rogers Concrete Open in a playoff over Matt Bell. So, congratulations to Johnny for winning here in the Midwest in Iowa. And winning the Showdown this year was John Anderson. Now, Terry, does that name ring a bell?
yeah,
John Anderson.
it does. But first, I have to ask: would you say? Would you say?
We're done. No.
Would you say that Johnny McRae had played really solid at that event at the concrete?
That's so bad.
All right.
You could have gone so many better ways. He poured it on.
Yeah.
You know, he
that's fine.
smoothed out the competition.
It wasn't rough enough.
He reinforced his dominance. There's so many better ones, and you went with
I think he
solid?
played solid. Yeah.
That's so bad.
All
Seriously,
right.
5-minute timeout. Go ahead, Dana. Tell me about John Anderson.
I'll tell you about John Anderson. John Anderson was a finalist, as in a tied for the World Championships competitor at the 2007 AM Worlds, which I was tournament director of in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Is that the same John Anderson you speak of?
Same John Anderson. Nice job, T-Dog.
All right, thank you. I had to dial that one back a little bit.
Yeah. So anyways, I remember seeing John first at the AM Worlds in 2007. I see this guy doing a standstill, and he kind of had a funky throw, and I'm like, who's that guy? And they're like, oh, he's on the lead card. He's in first place or whatever, blah. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. But he really, really solid player. And yeah, he did end up losing to Paul Macbeth and Greg Schwartz, and Greg Schwartz ended up beating Paul Macbeth. Nice job, Greg Schwartz. Woo!
Way to go, champ.
His weekly shout out.
Yep. I gotta give the Greg Schwartz 2007 AM World Champion shout out over Paul Macbeth as many times as possible. So, but anyways, John did take down the victory quite handily by 4, 5, 6 strokes out in Washington. So, that's his first pro A-tier win. Last week we had another first-timer, so I like seeing all these first-timers. Maybe one of these days I can get one. I don't know.
If you keep playing while others are across the pond,
Yeah.
I mean that helps your odds,
Wow.
right? I'm just saying that helps your odds.
It completely does.
If the best players in the world are in another part of the world, your chances increase. That's all. There's no slight there.
No, not at all. That's totally true. And I actually did play this weekend at the Illinois State Disc Golf Championships.
And you got your first A-tier win.
No, it was a B tier, and unfortunately for the second year in a row, we had an out-of-stater win.
Ooh.
But for the second year in a row, it was a really nice guy, a good friend of mine, Dustin Keegan from Oregon, took down the Illinois State Championship this year. I played with him first round. He started out on fire and played really well the first round. It was a 24-hole round and shot a great round, and followed it up at the other course and played another really solid round and got himself a couple throw win. Last year's winner was Colorado resident Justin Selmer, and I know Justin had high hopes, to come back. He comes back. He grew up in Illinois, so he comes and visits his family during the Illinois State Championships every year and plays. I know he wanted to win pretty bad, back to back, but he did not, and he barely cashed.
Oh.
Last cash for $20. So maybe a big hug would make Justin feel better. So Justin Selmer, you're my big hug recipient. Even you got a big hug on your way out of town, leaving the tournament. from me in person, but throwing it here digitally to you. So, but
very
congratulations. Fitting. Yep, congratulations to Dustin. I'm bummed about my play. Gotta wait another year. This is this one hurts a lot. It's always one that I look forward to every year, and yeah.
Oh, it'll totally get easier with a kid. Don't worry.
Yeah, your rating's gonna shoot sky high, buddy.
All right, so I've said it before. Steve Brinster had twins and he won a major. I'm just looking for at this point a C tier, unsanctioned. No. But hey, Brinster did it with twins, won a major. I know he's better. He's better than me, but maybe I can get something. Get a little something. But
you know what? Who just preceded you in having a child was, of course, Avery Jenkins. Yeah. And his wonderful female companion, Leah Taylor. And so why don't we wait and see what happens with them? I know their not so little guy is about 10 months. And Avery's traveling around Finland and beyond right now. And so just go in order. I guess that's all you got to do. So wait for Avery to win his next A-tier, national tour, whatever. And then you're next in the queue. I think that sounds about right. Unless Josh Anthon becomes available, he might be next in order because he's got about a 4-month-old, so he's also in the queue. So if we're looking at our top players that have recently had children, I would say just get in the queue. And
so wait, I gotta wait for him to get out of jail?
I'm not at liberty to discuss anything of that nature. I'm just saying he has a 4-month-old, and
well, you're saying I gotta wait for those guys to win. So
well, they had kids before you. Your kid hasn't even arrived yet, and you're getting all greedy about how many A-tiers you're going to win. So that's all. That's all I'm saying.
Well, all right. But yes, on that topic, we are still waiting. No new news here. Another doctor's appointment on Friday. So, yes, I'm still unofficially a dad, but kind of a dad.
Well,
is that how it works?
So you guys are due July 26th, which of course is Sunday, 2 days before our next.
5 days away.
2 days before what would be normally our next podcast. I think we went over that at the beginning of the show, how we work. So good chance by next week.
Yep.
We'll have a little Miss Vicich running around, or not That's running right. so much, more like sleeping. But
yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Send me all the advice you guys got. No, I'm just kidding.
No, do it. Everybody out there, send Dana parenting advice.
Yep.
You can find.
Throw it up on the chat board.
Yep.
Right to his Facebook page or Twitter at Dana Disc Golf.
Start with religious beliefs and backgrounds, then move on to
schooling and parenting,
breastfeeding versus formula. That's definitely a conversation.
Make sure to have all those conversations with Dana.
Yes.
Call him. Here's his phone number. I'll give you.
Gary Greason, one of our regular Smashies, says he has his second daughter coming in 2 weeks as well. So congrats, Gary. We know you're a big fan, and you tune in frequently. So thanks for sharing.
Yep.
All right, Dana, you got anything else before we let you go? Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Well, today is Tuesday, as you guys know, podcast day, but it's also day one of the Amateur World Championships in Kalamazoo.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to talk about the advanced field a little bit. Right now, got a buddy, Tommy A.
Mm-hmm.
Who can say his last name?
Anybody? Let me see it again.
Right.
I want to give a shot at pronouncing it. I know we saw it earlier, and I did want to.
You could just say Tommy A.
Yeah. I mean, we got a Arian note.
Arianotsis.
You're friends with, and you're friends with him.
Right, don't call Brian Henniger. If he could say it, he could have my bit. Because I'm friends with Tommy, and I ask him all the time, how do I say your last name again?
I just call him Tommy A.
But it's like Aristanusis.
Okay. Anyway, Tommy A. Tommy A's in the lead.
yes, he is in the lead. He shot a really great round today, 1044 rated. I talked to someone, and they said that is the tournament course record. So
Wow.
not too bad for an amateur player. I believe who is it? Tate Handy has maybe shot a stroke better at leagues there. So I'm getting real deep. Brian Henniger talking about Kalamazoo leagues.
Wait. I'm gonna second guess though.
Wait, is this Timber Ridge? Did they play Timber Ridge?
No.
Okay.
Oh.
I thought they played Timber Ridge.
Vicksburg.
Oh,
Vicksburg.
okay. I was gonna say because Timber Ridge has been in for like a week, so somebody saying they have the league course record doesn't mean much to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got it on good word that Tate Handy shot a 48 at leagues at this course.
Okay.
But it wasn't a sanctioned tournament or a tournament. I don't know. We'll give Tommy the course record. Maybe they had some more out of bounds set up or anything. But right now he does, going into night one, have a one throw lead. We also have some familiar names up towards the top. The advanced Memorial winner and Bowling Green Am winner, Mike Conley from Illinois, is not too far off of Tommy's solid round. Mike is in fourth place right now, I believe. He shot a 53, which is 1,007 rated. And Mike and I actually got together for a few times in the past couple weeks. Did some lessons, worked on a few things in his game. He's wanting to get better. So he's already a really good player. So he's someone to watch out for. And then we also have Anthony Barela, who AB, who is considered the favorite probably by most people across the country. But he's 6 off the lead, which doesn't mean too much over the course of a 5, 6, 7 round tournament, especially when it's amateurs. You know, they can really have some large swings. But AB, I was looking, he's only 977 rated.
Yeah, he's the fourth highest rated player there. You're right. I'm kind of surprised that he's not a little higher rated. I thought he'd be in the mid 980s, but
yeah, I thought he was
he'll
going
get
to
there
be
soon.
After seeing him throw at the Memorial this year and watching some of the scores he's been putting up. He won the United States Amateur Disc Golf Championships this year, which was up in Milford, Michigan. Was that last month?
Yeah, June. Yep.
Yeah, early June. So he's familiar to being up top at big events, and he's little Macbeth Jr. kind of buddies with Paul, and Paul has took him under his wing, so to speak, a little bit. So watch out for him. And then I do have to give a shout out to another Illinois player. And I may sound biased because I'm from Illinois, but we've had a bunch of Am Worlds winners from Illinois. But Isaac McDonald, he's been playing at a very high level all summer long. Just the other week, he finished in the top 15 at the Silver Cup and turned down the cash. He's there. He had a slower start, shot an even round out there, but I say look for him to make a strong push. And these 4 names, I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, to see them up at the top. Tommy A has played well in some big tournaments over the past couple of years, so he knows what he's doing. He was on the lead card for the Perf edition of the USDGC last year. So, and as I said, Illinois has had like 4 advanced winners over the past few years. Kenny Glassman, Stephen Jacobs, Spencer Wilkin. We had Colleen Thompson, advanced women win. Greg Schwartz, even though he was living in Milwaukee, he's Illinois grown. So,
so some would argue that
biggest sandbaggers are in Illinois.
That a lot of your players just hang out in the amateur divisions too long. Some would argue that. I'm not saying that. Some would argue that.
Okay, well, you're saying that without looking at the stats.
Correct.
And looking at these, Spencer Wilkin was not very high rated. He was definitely an amateur player when he won. Greg Schwartz, even though he's Milwaukee, / Illinois. Definitely he was like 950 something.
Yeah, he might have been
Kenny
even 930.
Glassman was probably not even rated 960. He was a true amateur. Steven Jacobs, he's the one. He could have probably moved up a little sooner. If you were going to call any of them a bagger, it would have been Steven. But all of the other ones were definitely straight up amateur players, and they weren't, your super high rated guy that's been turning down cash for years and
Wiggins.
years. Yeah, nothing wrong with
No, there's nothing wrong with wanting to win an AM with an AM
passion,
championship.
own ideas and own reasons for
Of course.
playing AM, taking cash or not taking cash.
Exactly. There's a dozen reasons that we may not know, and but we'll scream it at the awards.
Bigger, bigger, move up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, all the classics.
Yeah.
All the classics. All right, Dynamite. Well, we appreciate all the insight. We'll have to pull out our scorecard and see if you matched up to Henniger status.
Yep.
But we do appreciate all the insights. Maybe not as many numbers. I mean, not quite as spot on the name.
What was their
pronunciation.
ICPP? What was their
Insane Clown Posse?
Yeah. Inside the circle putting percentage?
Oh.
That was pretty cool. The lead card, they kept track of how many putts they made inside and outside the circle, and greens reached in regulation for birdies or whatever, that was a really cool stat. And I imagine we're going to keep seeing cooler things like that as the staffs grow bigger and as the sport grows.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it a little later, and again when we kind of recap some of the things from their actual broadcast. But those stats grow and are a result of staff and more cameras, more crews, more bodies, more caddies, more things of that nature, and that's how those things happen. Because everybody would say they'd love to see more of it. There's no one that'd say, no, don't give us so much great info. But
exactly,
those stats are a result of more hands on deck and just more staff being readily available. So it's great. It's amazing. It's amazing what they accomplish. And I would say, especially since I received so much criticism talking about inside or outside the circle, having a painted circle is a good start. There's some tournaments clearly we go to where the 10 meter or 32.9 foot circle isn't painted, and so there's a little bit more speculation. But when there's one actually painted on the ground, it certainly helps being able to provide things such as those stats, and it's not as much of a guessing game. So there's a lot of different ways, and I think things that both events and media can take from what we saw over there.
Yeah, and you just opened a can of worms with those painted 10-meter lines.
Yeah, I know I did.
I could go on,
yes,
about
you can.
Maybe it's nice not having them because a lot of the time they're wrong, and you get people jump putting from 30 feet because they were painted at 30 feet or 31 or
that's a staff. That's a staff issue as well, or whoever paints the lines. I mean, you just need to make sure that those are
and
right.
It's hard to on a hill too to get the correct mark the correct.
Or if it's wooded.
Or there's a ton of trees and
We're slipping here. I'm going to go ahead and call it a night, and just want to say thanks for having me on. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and maybe I'll see you guys next week. Maybe I'll be at the hospital. Maybe I'll be, I don't know.
We could broadcast live from the hospital if we have to.
That's true. We have.
I could come down and visit, broadcast live from the hospital with you, and get you and Ashley's going to want to be right on camera probably right away. So
during.
I'm
thinking.
Yeah. Do you guys have a media policy inside the?
We're adopting the European Open media policy.
Okay.
So
okay.
Go ahead and review that.
I will, and I hope that wasn't a shot on me being adopted. I don't know if I appreciate that, but thanks anyway. So. Yeah.
Well.
All right. Well, you guys.
Just kidding.
See, this is. I'm going to keep going here, and I should be gone now. This is one of my. I don't like when we drag things out, or I think we need to work on our crisp finishes.
That was good.
How's that? Is that crisp enough? And I'm actually in total agreeing with him.
Yeah,
that
sure.
we need to cut things off. Like, okay, thanks, Dana. Click. and not be any hard feelings or anything like that.
No, well,
it's just we need to make those progressions faster. I've been thinking that for like a month or two now.
okay,
So
sure.
yeah, it's nothing, that had nothing to do with that. That was just a perfect time to do it, though.
Yeah, it was. And he didn't even know it was coming.
Nope, sneaky me.
Suck on that, Dana. All right, so we need to reach out to our pal Zoe Andyke, who I know had contacted us, said she's going to be available to be on our show tonight. So we're going to check in with her and hope to...
as soon as she gets online?
She says that she was. I should probably send you the message that she sent me. Let me find it.
Or she can call us if she's not on her normal Skype for some
she said she's on her own Skype.
Yeah, I have it. It's the one we've used in the past.
But she said it didn't look right to her.
Right.
It's showing that I'm signed into my account, but it looks different. I don't see any contacts or any icon for the camera. So I'm not sure if she's fully tuned in. I wonder if she's using maybe a Skype desktop version versus Skype mobile versus I'm not sure. I don't know. But anyway, so we'll see if we can get Zoe dialed in, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, if she can call us, that'll be great.
Zoe.
But it does say she's offline, so.
Zoe, her Skype name, I'm going to share it with everyone, is Zoe Andyke.
Yep, I've got that.
Zoe.
It's right there.
Z-O... Oh,
Yeah.
huh. What if you try and dial her right now?
I can't. Well, I can try to call.
Maybe we'll just leave her a message. We'll do relay messaging back and forth.
Yeah, we'll just
leave her a message. She'll call back. She'll answer. We'll play it. It'll be perfect.
Anyway, we can talk about the Birdie Bash for a bit while we work on getting
that works for me.
Zotron on the line. So this past weekend we broadcast from Kalamazoo, Michigan, one of the AmWorld's courses, the first Birdie Bash presented by Vibram Championships.
World Championships.
It was hot. I mean, not for me. I'm sitting here.
Yeah.
Mosquito-y.
Yes, very.
You complained about that enough.
I did,
and I don't blame you. And
I saw a few seconds of footage where there literally was a mosquito like zooming around in the camera's view.
Yeah, there's a couple times
just visiting.
Yeah, and it's not much we can do about it. It's like you can. Our camera has a nice hood on it, so you'd have to like dig into the.
Yeah.
So.
Oh no, it found me later, so
yeah,
it didn't go too far.
I'm sure they all did.
Yeah. So it was very hot. It was muggy, especially the first day. The first day was slightly delayed during some parts due to a really, really nasty thunderstorm that had come through earlier in the morning, mid-morning, 10 or 11 o'clock or so. And so that was part of what they experienced. And then in the afternoon, we were out there for coverage. That's when we brought you some of what was their second round coverage. And a lot of the premise of the show, especially for that weekend until the finals for the most part, was to just walk around and give everybody a little bit of exposure, to do our best to get everyone on camera as much as possible. So not everyone at home loved that exact format, but really the whole point of Steve Dodge and the coverage and the formula was to give you a taste for everyone. And we know that when we talk about whether it's live, coverage at an NT or spin or whomever, it's usually follow the best, find the best card or the leader card or the best card, and then follow them for every single hole. And that just, with this format, that's not what we were going for, or what Steve really wanted us to go for.
Yeah, and for those of you that know Colbrook course, it's a tight wooded course, much more accuracy based. There were a lot of trees being tortured this past weekend. So getting more people on camera does a couple things. One, people of this caliber may never be on Smashbox again.
Yep, they may not.
They might, work their way up, or we might film more events like this, but this could be the first time they're on. It's a big deal. It helps.
We were spreading the love.
Yeah.
Is one way to word it.
We're not trying to pat ourselves on the back in general.
No, but I mean,
we wanted to showcase a different style of event, a different groups. We followed the juniors, and when they crowned their champion, little Steve Slater.
No,
Steve.
Andrew, Sammy Streeter.
Sammy Streeter.
Steve Slater's
from Illinois.
He's like 40 years older.
Well, sneak into the juniors. He looks young. You'd never guess. Yeah. And then we also followed the women and the men, but we did hop around and get a lot of the juniors. There were some junior girls that really impressed me as far as their not necessarily their play, but when you
Their on-camera presence.
Their on-camera presence. I pointed one to you particularly.
Maggie, I believe, was her name.
Maggie, who just she looked like a mini Val Jenkins, is what I kept thinking. Just her face, and she was wearing a ball cap, and she just presented herself very well, and it's a good thing for these kids.
Yeah. Having them get their exposure to the camera, and I say it all the time, some people, there's usually one of two ways that people walk away from me when we're doing something either live or recorded, and they walk away and say, oh, you should follow me all the time. I've thrown my best 5 shots since you've been around.
Yeah.
A lot of people say that.
Yep.
And of course the exact opposite, which is, oh my gosh, I was so nervous. I couldn't, I threw my worst 5 shots of the day when you guys were following me.
Yep.
And I always, whether they say it good, whether they had a good or bad experience with us being in their presence or any cameramen being in their presence, I always say, if you want to be good and you're planning on taking this real seriously, you're gonna probably have to get used to it, because there's only going to be more camera coverage as the sport progresses, not less. So it gives you a little bit of that exposure, and there's not a good way to practice the pressure of having extra sets of eyes on you.
No,
you can't really practice that.
Even if you bring all your friends around,
No,
it's
exactly.
not the same.
You're exactly. Yeah, you cannot artificially, recreate that scene.
Correct.
I know everybody in their backyard saying, "Oh, here's my 30-footer to win the worlds." Here's
a way to do it. Go to the bank, get a stack of $100 bills. Put them down, go to a course, and just say, call random people over from like 45 feet or 30 feet and say, if I don't hit this, you get one of them.
Okay. Yeah, that
would put pressure on you.
There you go.
That would be the equivalent, because as a pro, every shot you miss costs you one of those bills.
That's
maybe
true.
not $100, maybe $50, maybe $25, depending on where you're at. But that would be one way to actually, force you to play under way more pressure.
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun, and I enjoy seeing so many of these different competitors out there, because a lot of them say they are used to watching the top pros. They're used to, tuning into our podcast or doing all these different things. So to be able to kind of, have some of our biggest fans be featured it's just really rewarding for us, and we can't even really thank ourselves at all. We have to thank entirely Steve Dodge and Vibram, because it was his idea when he contacted us months ago saying, I want to broadcast the Birdie Bash World Championships. I want to broadcast live. And I remember saying, Steve, this is a first-year event. You might have 20 people show up to this thing. And he said, well, then 20 people are going to get a lot of exposure. And so it was Steve's vision. It was Steve's idea. And sure enough, the event had just an amazing turnout.
And in order to get into the event, you had to either win a local Birdie Bash or have run a local Birdie Bash.
Correct. Yep.
And I was shocked, because I assumed when we started filming and talking to people where they're from, what they're doing, that a majority of them would just roll this into an Am Worlds.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I'm here for Am Worlds. I'm in Kalamazoo. I'm going to play this. I'm just getting ready for Worlds. I think 70% of the people we talked to, maybe even more, maybe even 80% of the people we talked to said, no, I just came from Iowa. I came from Tennessee just to play the Birdie Bash.
I came from Texas. Jim Castillo, who won the Spirit Award, came from Texas. He drove up from Texas to Michigan to compete in the Birdie Bash World Championships and turn around and drove home. I think he just got home today, I saw. That's amazing. Zoe's good friend Shorty came from Oregon just to play in the Birdie Bash. Yeah. And what was even cooler about this Birdie Bash
payout.
is there was a trophy for first. So it's your true definition of a trophy only win and division. But what was so cool is you paid $50 to get into the tournament. Once you showed up to the tournament, you were treated to either 3 or 4 discs, I think 4 ultimately, 4 discs, plus a bunch of other swag, and he was refunding the entire entry fee. So your $50 was no longer an entry fee. It was really just a placeholder, and once you showed up, you were refunded that $50, or you will be this week, or however they're doing it. I was there, I got to benefit from, but there was a catered meal on Saturday night, and then there was catered lunch or pizza lunch by a local pizza shop on Sunday. So you had at least $70, $80, $90 value of being at this event, and it was completely free to participate. Completely free. You had to get yourself there, of course, as you do with all tournaments, but it was completely free to participate. You were treated to 3 rounds of 18 plus a final 9 if you were in the top 4. It was just amazing. Kudos, hats off, major props, you name it, whatever you want to say. Steve Dodge and Vibram just absolutely knocked it out of the park, and we couldn't be more thrilled and honored that he had the foresight to reach out to us months ago and say, I don't care how many people are there, we want it broadcast. So congratulations. I'm going to run through our top few finalists. I had them up earlier. Sorry, I don't at the moment. I'm going to pull them up and read them off because our finalists, our winners and our finalists. I'm going to go out to birdiebash.com, which is the easiest way to do it. Our winners, I'll say our top 4, sorry. Andrea Becker in 4th out of, I believe, Andrea Becker, Lauren Butler, Joanna Borkart, and your winner, Alicia Grace, who I may have miscalled her Alicia once, but Alicia Grace, who I believe is also from Michigan. She was your female winner. She had 90 total points. So, Alicia, congratulations. And in the men's side, Jonathan Williston, Jared Grantha, Stephen Belair, Scott Snow, all were your 4 runners-up, so to speak, and Anthony O'Malley is your champion. Anthony's played in 2 events this year, the St. Jude Invitational and the Vibram Birdie Bash. So Anthony picking very specific events and being crowned champion here. PDGA number 74316.
Wow.
So that should give you a little bit of indication of how long he's been around or how long he's been doing at least organized golf. And then on the junior side, in the junior boys side, it looks like we had, I know our winner, I'll name the top 4, Brandon Campbell, Colin Tyndall, Jordan McCall, and your champion from Team Maple Hill, just crushing it throughout the weekend. He had 77 points. His next closest competitor had 51, and that was Sammy Streeter.
Sammy Streeter.
I was going to say Samuel. Nobody called him that all weekend. Sammy Streeter. And I know he had the help of his dad was there and helping out with the event. Andrew, we appreciate it. And on the junior girls side of things, Allison Sheriff, who was just adorable all weekend, Kara, Carl, Maggie, and your champion from Illinois was Lydia Lyons. So those are your 4 champions. Jim Castillo, as I said, is your Spirit Award winner. Congratulations to him, and congratulations to more than 130 some odd, 140 people from as many as 20 plus states showed up to compete in the first ever Vibram Birdie Bash. And if you think I'm babbling on or gushing about it, I am. It was an amazing event, and Steve Dodge continues to, if you ever, I've said it before, if you ever want to talk about, throw out that now almost cliche like hashtag grow the sport.
He does.
Steve Dodge, this is one way you do it, and Steve Dodge knocked it out of the park. So looking forward to it. Next year, the World Championships will again take place just before the Amateur Worlds, which will be held here near us in Madison, Wisconsin. So the Vibram Birdie Bash.
We could get a Birdie Bash here in Milwaukee.
I ran one, yeah.
No, I'm saying the championships.
Maybe because he might want it in Madison where the Worlds are taking place, but we're not that far. So look for next year's Vibram Birdie Bash World Championships to take place just before Am Worlds over in Madison, Wisconsin.
All right,
next year.
Much like Dana, I'm cutting you off.
This is important. I don't care what pretty girl we have on the line. We need to anyway. All right, welcoming to the show Zoe Andyke. Zoe, you're back. I think it's 2 weeks in a row. You're setting records here, lady. How you doing?
Really good. How about you guys?
We are doing all right.
We're doing well. Doing well. What do you got going on?
Well, luckily I just made it onto Skype.
Yeah,
I was really nervous there. I wasn't going to make it on. So I'm in my hometown where I grew up in La Grande, Oregon, and I'm at my best friend for life's house, and we're using her mom's Skype account. Thank God, Leslie Kinney. And I want to introduce my best friend. She doesn't play disc golf yet.
Hello.
Emily. She's going to.
Okay.
So it's out tonight, and it's my last night home and off tour, and I'm gonna leave tomorrow and head to Portland, where I will wait for Shasta Chris, and we're gonna be taking off and heading out there, your direction and past.
Shasta lives in Santa Cruz. I don't know if how are you getting him in Portland?
Oh yeah, well I have a magic time machine.
Okay.
My car and I are gonna wait for him, and his magic time machine is gonna bring him there.
Okay.
Then we're gonna take my car.
Perfect.
So yeah, today marked the end of my time off tour, my month of July, and working and spending time training and working on myself and replenishing the pocketbook. And after I finished my day of landscaping today, I just had this whole wave of excitement of like, all right, I'm going back out on tour tomorrow. Yes. And it's been such a good time spent here in La Grande and all over in Oregon, because I've been in a few places on my time off.
Now, Zoe, I've got to ask right away. I met up with and had great conversation with your pal, Shorty. Did she communicate with you back at home while she was in the Birdie Bash World Championships this year?
Yes, thank you so much for asking. While I was landscaping, I was able to talk to Shorty. She's one of my students, actually my longest student I've had. She was my very first lessonee ever. And Shorty was calling me on her travels out there, as she was sampling new breweries in different places and doing her travels out there. And she wanted to talk about her tournament. And she wanted to talk about the discs. And she wanted to talk about her game plan. And she wanted my feedback. And the coolest part about all of that is, when you establish a rapport or a relationship with someone that you're really interested in, concerned in, whatever you're teaching, and they call you and they want to talk about their tournament before it's time for them to go and be on game time, it's like the best feeling in the world. She's got a lot of trust in me, and I've got a lot of skill and experience and confidence in all of the advice I can give to her, and it makes me feel like $1,000,000 that she wants to continue to talk with me about it, and Shorty did great. She called me after every round, and she was excited to be on SmashBoxx and mentioned on SmashBoxx, and I think a lot of the Oregonians are really starting to follow a lot more SmashBoxx, prior to me being on here, and now they're more excited because, well, they've got me and we're able to talk about things on here. And Shorty's stoked, and she did so good. She got 8th out of 29 gals, and she hasn't even been playing very long. She's a retired vet from our armed forces, and so Shorty's just doing a lot right now. I think it's really cool that she got to meet you guys and talk to SmashBoxx.
Awesome. Well, good. She introduced herself right away, and of course I recognized the name, and it was just it was awesome. Part of traveling around, no matter what event we're at, and whether it's a podcast or otherwise, just being able to connect with people that say they tune in or say that they recognize you or Dana or whoever, just that we have that inner connectivity, and it's really just it's awesome to have.
Yeah, I agree. And through this time off, I've been really planning on what kind of shows or what kind of help I can give to the podcast when the season's over, because we've got a lot coming up. I mean, there's material after material. We've got majors, we've got USDGCs, so much is coming up. But I've been thinking a lot about the aftermath, and I just want to plant a little seed in everybody's head that I've got some exciting and interesting disc golf topics to bring in the off season, because I believe what you guys and Dana and I can do is just really involve everyone more so in the disc golf world. And to be a Smashy is to be a part of the disc golf world, more. So we're doing a good thing.
I would like to think so. One way or another.
Yeah.
Well, maybe.
Yep.
So what's your topic of choice tonight? Do you have anything specific you want to dial in here tonight?
Yeah, I don't want to talk for too long.
Okay.
I just have a couple of key points that the last couple of weeks have really brought to me. And as I mentioned 2 weeks ago, I was super excited to take this time off, even though it's hard to be away from everyone on tour and hard to be away from the events. Thank goodness I've been kept alive through you guys and through Dustin, my partner. And I just want to say that my training, to the work I've done, to the people that I've spent time with, it's just all so important for everyone to soak in every moment of our days. No job is worth doing unless you're going to do the best job you can. You can apply that to your disc golf game. No person is really worth taking your time in conversation unless they're going to give to you. And we all have to get through tough conversations. But I guess I just want to say this last month has really helped me kind of come and zen into my heart and what's important to me and make me stronger. And I want to share with all of you to be stronger, because we're just in the middle of the season. And apply the things that are important to you, spend your energy, talk to the ones that care, and really bring it all together, whether it's on the putting green or on the tee box. You really just shouldn't be wasting any time or energy on anything. You shouldn't have junk thought. I hope I make this putt. I really am scared, Man, I hope I don't hit that tree off the tee box. Man, I hope this person I'm talking to doesn't think I'm terrible. Let's not waste our time. And let's just go for it together. This is a little cheesy, but that's what I do on Smashbox. Dear Disc Golf, I love you means everything.
Would you
I
say
love
that,
all of you enough to tell you.
would you say that this past month has been more like a battery recharge for you? Kind of.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to show the picture you sent us of you in front of a tractor doing landscaping. And looks like probably busting your hump quite a bit. Is this something?
Are you showing it right?
I did just show it right now. Yeah, I popped it on.
That's really cute. Yeah, I mean, that was just one of many things I got to do. I like to work. I love to play disc golf. From landscaping to cleaning houses to teaching to anything I could do while I was home and off, really did bring me back to life before disc golf. And then just being able to add everything and connect it all is where I'm at right now. So I feel very strong and in tune and ready to go back out. I'm like chomping at the bit. Today's 8.5-hour workday of just being out in 85-degree weather, bent over landscaping beds, shoveling gravel, moving mulch, removing sod, planting grass seed. Whatever it was I was doing went by quicker because I'm going back out on tour and it's all worth it. And on a further spec, this is the first time I've taken a break like this where, I've recharged my batteries, I've rebuilt my pocketbook, I have everything paid for all the way through to the end of my season, and then money to feed myself, buy gas, have a little bit of extra fun. And nothing to worry about. I actually just get to go back out on tour and play golf. And I can't say that it's always been like that in the last 4 years. I can say I've always paid my bills and worked very hard to be on tour. But then being on tour, was a little financially stressful. And this time I've worked hard enough to be there, and it just feels that much better. So
and I think that's a good lesson. And we're seeing that. I mean, Simon had just recently posted that how he got on tour and he just felt burnt out. Like he just needed a break. He was done. He enjoyed his time with, the flying circus and whatnot, but that he just wasn't feeling it. And that he went home and, just kind of took it all in. And I think what maybe is a good lesson here is that, especially for touring pros, everyone knows that they're not staying in 4-star resorts. They're scraping by on people's floors. They're reaching out to people to try to get a free hotel or stay with someone, and that it really can just burn you out being on tour. Thinking about the joke I made earlier about the putting your $50 on or $100 and missing putts. That's what these guys do. That's literally what they're doing, and it can be stressful. And
you don't want to go into a tournament thinking I have to win this, and
Yeah.
I'm sure there are many of my friends out there on tour that are so successful that have felt that way. There's definitely a few of our friends that haven't, But that's the diversity of any sport as well. And we're all just humans trying to crush and stay on tour, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, the mentality and people talk about all the time, you have to almost save money to then go out on tour, because tour generally isn't a lucrative thing. It's usually not a profitable situation. There's very few people, and there are a few, but there's very few that are winning enough money week in and week out to truly, keep their pocketbook in the black, as opposed to it being a slow or quick drain when they're traveling. So that's something, but you're prepared one way or another, which is great.
Well, and a couple weeks ago, I was talking about how we all have to tap into our own main vein of disc golf. Some people start bag companies, shirt companies, all these companies. And my other revenue, it's not, obviously landscaping and cleaning isn't near everything. I'm actually making more money teaching disc golf. Mm-hmm. But in order to build that business and to make those, the framework happen, and for other people to find their main vein of disc golf, we all have to ante up the time. And I think Bomba Rico is one of the first people that said, live your dreams, start your business, but make sure you got a way to make it happen until it's happening for you. Mm-hmm. And that's what, that's where I'm at. And I think even Simon taking a break and going home to see family, like, he had to recharge too. I think all of us just need to remember we're human, remember what we're doing, and not waste any time or energy. Just be stoked, because we're doing it. We're the first few generations of it,
Yeah, and Macbeth isn't scraping by, but even there's that grind that he said this year he's playing less events. He's going to play the ones that he really wants to play, so he doesn't have to do that day to day, constantly on the road grind. And some of our pros could probably take a note from that. That maybe sometimes you see these guys get on tour and they start to take things a little too seriously. Not that they shouldn't be serious on tour, but
right.
you can see it get to them more towards the end of the season.
Your brains. I mean, out on the course, let's all remember the first time we threw a disc. Like, wow, that felt so good. Mm-hmm. And then if you start losing your brains on the course and you're angry, like, this doesn't feel good. I'm gonna kick my bag. Well, that's weird and embarrassing.
Yeah.
Let's again. So yeah, I mean, I think that's really, it's cool that we're able to conversate about just how human all of us are and need to remember to be, and how good this life is. It's cool that we really get to be playing professional disc golf and doing all these things, So originally, I was going to be broadcasting from Bend, Oregon tonight, because I thought I was going to go back there, and I ended up staying home for another day or two, like I said. So I wanted to give a little special shout out to a few people in Central Oregon that make a big difference and made a huge difference for me recharging my batteries while I was in that zip code. One of them, two of these guys actually helped me teach a clinic at one of their leagues, and it's Torrey Tuft. He's been in the game and he's been on the West Coast for a long time. There's some people watching right now that might know Torrey. And then a newer player in the game, Mike Bayshore. He's the president of the local club there. And every time I'm in town, they are like, hey, do you want to do a clinic? Do you want to do something? What can we do for you? And I didn't get a chance to come back and give them a personal, physical in the human flesh thank you. So I wanted to do that on Smashbox. Also, the ladies there, Janine Gunn, Rachel Keller, Christina Moore, they bring me back to disc golf on a level that has nothing to do with being like tournament serious, but helps me train in a way that I think a lot of people at my level don't always do. So thank you, ladies, for bringing me to like that insane smile and laugh on the course. I'm always smiling and having fun, but there's something else going on up here when you guys see me. And being in the different zone and having that great disc golf game, but something else going on right here and right here in the heart. I don't know if I can show you where my heart is. That's what they go back to, and I love them. And Joe Height, that's Christina's boyfriend. He was just as much a part of that. So thank you to all of them, and Joe Skelly. He's a guy out of Redmond, and again, one of my bigger fans, great disc golfer. You guys are amazing.
Awesome.
And I just had to recognize them because they did so much for me. Now coming into Portland, I just have to give shouts out to the Disc Golfer Die crew and the women of DGOD, because they're like waiting for me to land around 11 a.m. tomorrow, between 11 and noon. And I've got the whole Disc Golfer Die crew waiting for me at Buxton Woods, which is one of the best, coolest pay-to-play little private courses out here in Oregon. And I'm going to go to a league night there. I'm going to teach a private lesson out there. Like I said, I'm going to camp on the course, do a few things out there. Then I have the Women of Disc Golf or Die League on Thursday night, where I'm doing a demonstration again, which is that's the league I brought Paige and Ragna and Sarah and Madison to during BSF.
Yep.
So those are my ladies. I'm going to service them all night long. I got a raffle for them. I got specs. I got clinic work. I got stuff. And then I have a really special private lesson with Kayra Gordon. She's helping run the Women of DGOD right now. And, I work with her. I talk to her all the time, but she's like, Zoe, I can't putt. And I'm like, well, do you want a lesson? What? Like, let's do this together. So not only am I going to go check in with all my leagues in Portland and the Disc Golfer Die crew, women and men, I get to do a lesson and hopefully spend a day at the coast with my best friend if she comes.
Peer pressure.
Yeah.
Shasta will be here on Saturday, and we're smashing. We're going to go Missoula, North Dakota, and then, I'm kind of waiting to hear back from this guy named Terry Miller. Dana, I think we're going to stop by Dana's house, but Terry, I mean, it'd be kind of cool if I could actually just do Smashbox from the studio.
Yeah, it really would be.
Yeah, it depends if you guys are coming through Milwaukee or Madison. Either way, when you get into Wisconsin or when you know you're going to be through here, let us know, because Terry's job is pretty flexible.
Okay.
Or lack of. And my job, I've got offices in Madison that we can make happen. If you guys so if you guys just
do you have a tentative time frame? How about let's start there. Do you have a tentative time frame of where you're going to be in the Wisconsin region area, zip code place?
Well, yeah. We should be heading there Tuesday morning.
Okay.
I mean, I can't imagine being too much later than that.
Okay.
Tuesday night would be the latest, though. Yeah.
Okay.
I would really like to make it happen, though, where we're there Tuesday night.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that would certainly be something that seems logical. If you guys were here in Milwaukee and it fell on Tuesday afternoon or Tuesday evening, it'd only make sense for you to come join us in studio on Tuesday night.
We could have a special guest, Shasta Chris.
We could step inside the Shasta box or something. No?
Yeah.
I was thinking that a few minutes ago.
Yeah,
the Shasta box. I don't know.
Anyway, Zoe, thanks again for joining us this week. We're working on goodbyes this week. This week for us, for Smashbox, getting to zero for us is being able to cut our segments and not have long goodbyes. So
Terry Miller, get to zero.
Get to zero, Terry.
Get to zero. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Zoe. We will we'll stay in contact and hopefully we'll maybe see you in the next week or so.
Yep.
All
Sounds
right.
good.
Have a good night.
And practice hard with
All
a
right.
smile on your face.
All right, thanks. All right. Step inside the Shasta box. There's nothing wrong with that. If he's a special guest for that night.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
I'm looking around at our studio right now. I'm like,
we don't have room.
Yeah.
We don't have room. We'd make it happen.
We would definitely
make it happen one way or another.
Yep.
All right. So we got a few other items that we could certainly talk about, such as...
Yeah, we have...
I've got a list. Do you have anything?
I have a list. I put a list down in the show notes, Terry.
All right. Well, I'm going to start with an easy one.
Okay, you go first.
That's not in a show note. I would like to send... He is very near and dear to my heart. He's a great guy.
He's been on the show.
He's been on the show. He's been a special guest in the Smashbox studios, and he's just a huge help to me personally. When I'm out of town doing other things, Smashbox and Disc Golf Guy related, he's stepped up, and him and his lady friend are expecting a child soon this year, And so happy birthday to my good friend, our good friend, Colin Huff.
Colin.
Super great guy, and we appreciate all your support. You're smashy, and you're more than that, because again, you're so helpful to everything that I'm doing here in Wisconsin and the Milwaukee area. So happy birthday certainly goes out to Colin Huff. Smashy. We've talked about a few things, including the representation at the Birdie Bash. That was on my list. I want to real quickly, I'm going to talk about the Ledgestone Insurance Open.
Okay.
Had a conversation with Nate Heinold regarding a number of topics, but the most pertinent ones being registration and amount of people. And by that I mean there's been a lot of people that have been withdrawing for a lot of different reasons. Everybody, whether they've moved or they're strapped on cash or they're having a surgery. I mean, I've seen a lot of the various reasons, but long and short of it is people are withdrawing, and that is opening up a lot of spots. And maybe you were buried on a waiting list at one point, but from what Nate has told me is those waiting lists are nearly exhausted. So some of those waiting lists in some of those divisions were 10, 20, 30, 50 people deep. And we may see those be just completely gone any day now. So if you were thinking about the Ledgestone Open, if you were looking to play in any capacity, make sure you check in with it on Facebook, right? Reach out to a Nate Heinold and see where things are at, because you may be getting a call or an email that says, hey, your time is coming if you're interested.
Sure.
I will follow that up and say, though, all registrations for all amateur divisions will be closing as of this Friday. There's going to be a number of very personalized items in the player packs, and in order to give them more than enough time to make sure that they're all individualized, all personalized, registration for all the amateurs is closing on Friday. So if you're on the bubble, or you're thinking about going, or you were on the waiting list in any division, maybe just send a little note to Nate and see where you're at, because there may be a spot for you. And I believe anything after this week, if you haven't asked for your refund, I'm not sure if you're getting a full, I don't know about all the refund processing, but get on it, I guess, is really what I'm saying. But a few spots are open in a lot of different divisions, so certainly something to consider. I'll follow that up by saying SmashBoxx, of course, is going to have a detailed plan as to where we're going to be broadcasting, which components are going to be live. I'm also working and trying to work with a few additional people for post-produced coverage. I know a lot of people talk about seeing our 4-hour rounds or our 3-hour rounds and really wishing they had it in a 45-minute, disc golf guy style or condensed format.
Yeah.
I personally, I'm going to reach out. I have one or two people in mind. I have talked to a few people. If you're a solid video recorder and editor, and you think you could maybe kind of step into the, we'll say, the workload of the disc golf guy in terms of, recording the round, you'd be standing there side by side with SmashBoxx, but recording the round and then being able to help get it up so that it's available by the next day for consumption. And maybe you need a little of my help, maybe you don't, I don't know. But if you think you fit into that skill set, reach out to me immediately. There's compensation, there's access to our top level pros. It's going to be a heck of a
lot
week.
of fun.
It's a lot of fun to work your tail. No, there'll be some hard work, but it'll be very rewarding, and it would be very appreciated by everyone, by literally tens of thousands of people. And like I said, we've even got a couple different compensation options. So reach out to me immediately if you fit in that role. And it's tough because there are pros playing at this event, obviously, and there are amateurs playing at this event. So many people want to just play.
Yeah.
That doesn't leave a lot of room for skilled people to go out and do some of the video work. But I know Nate wants a ton of different coverage. There's a handful of entities that will be there in addition to SmashBoxx.
Sure.
But we're looking to kind of beef things up a little more. I guess that's the best way to put it. We definitely want to beef things up a little.
So if you can help us out, reach out to us.
Do that.
All right. First, this hit, and what did he put this out there? July 15th. So it was about 6 days ago. It was right after we went live. Simon has another trick video because the guy is seemingly unstoppable. I'm going to play it for everybody right here.
There. Do you want it on that screen?
I'm going to, yes.
Okay, I didn't know.
All right, so there we go. So basically, this is Simon mixing two of his trick shots. The underneath the leg was, I believe it's called the Scarecrow, and then the flip that he does. And he said, as he called it, the one-take wonder.
He came Avery Jenkins referred to him as that.
He came out and said that he did this. He hit this on the very first try, which a lot of times we're not. There's questions about whether or not he can. How many takes it takes for him to get it. That one he said he just did right away.
Yeah, I think
pretty amazing.
I think someone else had reached out to him and encouraged him to do just that, to combine some of his tricks. Mm-hmm. Him and Avery were sitting around and said, "Let's try it." I think he said he handed Avery his phone, and tried it and just nailed it on the first take.
Yeah.
I think I could do that.
No, you couldn't.
Maybe not the first take.
You couldn't do it any take.
Maybe not.
It's hard enough for you to get a disc between your legs and up.
You'd be surprised. I'm a little bit. I'm limber for my size.
It's the flip on the back throw that I think would throw you off.
Yeah,
that'd be tough. That takes a little bit of practice. So way to go, Simon. Way to be a freak of nature. You're too good.
Is he the Brody Smith of disc golf now?
Right now he is. Yeah. I mean, Brody is. From my understanding, Brody isn't one of the top ultimate players, but he's kind of up there.
Mm-hmm.
He's well known. But he's known for more so for his trick shots.
Yeah, way more so.
Way more so, and that's kind of what Simon is right now. Simon's kind of up at the top of our game, but right now he's been having kind of an off couple months, and he's filling his time with trick shots. And he's becoming a lot better known because of that. So.
I mean, it doesn't help. He's also obviously the world distance holder, so he always has that in his back pocket. And I believe I think I saw he has 5 different whiff diff related world records, including or maybe it's 3. Yeah, the mini toss, as well as the strongest or the fastest throw for a guts disc.
Yeah.
At over 100 miles or at 100
that's right.
kilometers or miles per hour or something like that. Miles per hour it is.
So there was that. I think we can roll into some European Open talk here.
Okay.
First, I'll start with this. Today, UC put out 2 questions. I think he's been getting a lot of feedback, not so much on the positive side as far as their coverage goes. So he put out there first, money versus media. Because people are saying that he could have taken the $50,000 that he put, that was his quote, that he had 29 TV guys, 10 insider show guys, and then 3 online guys, which I'm not exactly sure what the online guys are. It could be website development. It could be a couple things. So, but
trollers.
Yeah, he pays people to troll him. And that cost $50,000, over $50,000 in media. So I think he got a kickback as to people saying, hey, wouldn't that $50,000 have been better spent on payout?
Beefing up the payout.
Mm-hmm. So, some people were crying about that. And so he came out on Facebook and asked.
Mm-hmm.
And he got a lot of responses, including one from me. And I think you had chimed in.
I always chime in.
You always do. And what I had said, and I said this to him on Twitter as well, where he put it, that I don't think $50,000 really is going to make a difference as far as growing the sport. It's a drop in the bucket. Maybe not for our pros. The pros would probably like to see that $50,000. They have to weigh their best interests right now versus future. Could second place have used an extra $1,000, $2,000, $3,000? Possibly. Or are they going to look more towards the future, where what UC's coverage will hopefully bring? UC he had a couple big sponsors. There was Mercedes-Benz was one of their sponsors. And I don't know what the sponsor was.
The level, yeah. And
it could have been free cars for the players to drive around, a couple of them. It could have been cash. It could have been helping out with the payout. It could have been insider show. I have no clue.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to speculate. But I do know he had some bigger sponsors.
Mm-hmm.
My thought was, the only way that money is going to make a big difference as far as growing the sport is if you have a really big player's purse, a huge one, like a one-stop. Guess what? Your winner is pulling in 100, 200, 300K. That might get us some media exposure. That would get us maybe on the board. Short of that, I think the money is better spent on media. There's the argument of whether or not his media. Some people liked his approach, some people didn't. Some people want to see way more golf and less insider show. Someone on Disc Golf Course Review, where this thread was raging, went and said, they provided a fantastic dessert with the Insider Show. It was great after show without a meal because they were talking to these players about how well they shot and how well they didn't shoot when no one saw it.
Sure.
They showed some highlights here and there, and it all depends on the avenue that you took. So yeah, there was an ace car on, I believe it was hole 17. That hole 17 looked like it was probably about 400 some feet.
Okay.
It sloped right hand down, I'd say.
Right to left.
Right to left. It sloped down towards OB. Ricky parked it.
Yeah.
But, to hit that ace, you're either hitting the ace or you're going out of bounds.
Yeah, correct.
That's the way that hole played. Unless you were throwing a huge forehand on that shot. And it was kind of hard to tell. So that was his first question. Would you rather see the money put into the purse or into the media? So I voted for media for this particular instance.
You're not biased though.
No, not at all.
I know.
I try not to be. I can't say that I'm not biased, but
of course,
for this particular, had he put $500,000 in and he got this same type of coverage, I go the other way. I say no, that $500,000 way better put in the pot. $50,000, not really. His other question was, should TDs be getting, say he goes out and raises this $50,000, should TDs have a right of that, take a cut of that? I said, maybe 5 to 10%. He said maybe 30%.
Sure. Why? Yeah.
But,
other than
again,
being completely arbitrary, where does that percentage come from?
For him, he said that was standard commission, 30%.
Okay.
I don't know. I've never worked commission. I have no clue. I just said 5 to 10% because it seemed like a smart number. If you get $50,000 in sponsorship, 10% of that is $5,000.
And do you think, knowing what you know about the event and the workload, do you think $10,000 is an appropriate amount to get paid for the amount of work he did?
Probably.
In the last 2 years?
Probably.
You think $10,000?
I think that's low.
That's my point.
But,
that's what I'm saying. Is I think $10,000 is almost insulting.
No.
It's a morsel. It's something.
It's something.
But for the amount of work that you see.
Oh yeah, he put in,
and that's just personally. That's just saying he's getting $10,000. What about dozens of other people that also are going to probably put in a bunch of work, and maybe aren't part of a paid crew, but are also putting in. I mean, I'll use myself. I run a tournament, and there might be anywhere from 2 to 8 other people that day do a bunch of work for me or help me out or whatever, and they may or may not get a lunch bought for, they may get a free disc or this or that, but I'm saying even at $10,000, I think that's pretty low for
it is
arguably 2 years worth of work.
It is, but is $10,000 better than the zero he got right now?
Who knows what he got?
Agreed. No one knows. No, I haven't seen. We're not going to see the numbers. That's none of our business. But whether or not he took some from the player's purse, whatever. But if you go out and raise sponsor, I said, yes, I think you have a right to any added cash that is donated. If a disc manufacturer donates 500 discs to your event, and let's say how much value is that? 500 discs is let's just say
$7,500.
$7,500. Do you have a right to 30% of $7,500 now out of the pot? Out of, because that was your sponsorship you pulled in? Do you get that in cash, or do you take 30% of the plastic? I don't know. I said I think if you did added cash, like if you go to a sponsor and they give you $1,000, sure, take your percentage. That's 5 or 10 or 30, whatever that would be. I think no one's going to argue with that, because you know what? They're still adding cash to it.
Correct. 50% of $100,000 is still $50,000 versus
exactly. So I think if tournament directors were allowed, and I don't know if they're even.
They are.
They are. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
there's a commission.
In a tournament, and it all becomes a gray area, anyways.
Of course.
Within the PDGA tournament book, any tournament can take a tournament management fee,
sure,
or a hosting club fee, or a percentage, so to speak. It's all right there in the tournament. But when you're talking about any added cash, I think it can become a pretty moot point, because if I went out and raised $100,000 for a tournament that I'm running next week,
sure,
and I told you I'm putting 20 of it in my pocket, do you really have a leg to stand on?
No, not at all.
I don't know who does, if anyone has a leg to stand on at that point. So Yeah, it becomes a slippery. So, and then I guess if we're really talking about the professional organization of running tournaments,
and then does the whoever gave you that money, do they have a right to know? I mean, should you disclose that? Like, oh, you're donating $100,000 to the event? Yeah, guess what? I'm taking $20,000.
Well, and I guess that's and again that I think the details are in the devil in the details.
Devil in the details.
Yeah, are you donating it? Are you sponsoring it? Are you contributing? What kind of language is being used there?
Yep.
I'm writing you a check for $100,000. What does that really mean? And do you need to disclose that? I mean, unfortunately, we don't have any of these problems at this point. But it certainly could be talked about.
Sure. The way UC's going next year, or I'm sorry, in 2 years, I'm guessing when the next European Open is, who knows what he's going to come out with? Who knows? If he came out and said, hey, I got $100,000 in sponsorship, would it surprise you?
No, it wouldn't.
I mean, of all the people, there's a few out there that wouldn't. I wouldn't be knocked down. If you came to me and said that, I would be knocked down my back just because I know your history. You're not so much. Usually, you're not forefront of raising money.
I'm not beating down doors.
You're not
to
beating
raise
down
money.
doors. Exactly. That's not your forte. Your forte is running events. You run fantastic events. But if UC came out and said, "Hey, I got Mercedes-Benz to kick in $100,000," I'd be like, "Wow, that's cool." Not surprised. And someone said on the board that hole 17's ace prize wasn't the actual car to win, that they got to use it for 2 weeks. A Mercedes CLA.
And I don't want to say whoopee, but I kind of want to say whoopee.
Whoopee, yeah. That's.
I mean, that's great, and we're clearly not ripping. Is it better than nothing? Yes.
Of course. But
most
of the and I don't know how it works, but most of these players were probably leaving in the next 2 days.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe when you got back to the States,
you got to use that.
There was some special thing, and that's cool and all. I'd be almost more nervous. You give me a $50,000 car that I get to use for 2 weeks, I'd be more nervous the whole time that I'm going to scratch it or dent it or run it into something.
Well, and we've at USDGC a couple of years ago, they had an ace. How much was it? It was hole
$50,000.
$50,000 ace.
Mm-hmm. And that was a legitimate $50,000. That was thanks to Twisted Flyer, Joe Rotan.
Yep, and there was cameras everywhere, so they could see you didn't step over the line, that you
used a PDGA approved
disc. PDGA approved disc, all that stuff. You had to show the disc to the camera. I remember all that. So the fact that you got to just use it for 2 weeks, if that's really the case, I'd say whoopee. I mean, there's like no real. I mean, there was an insurance policy with the $50,000 and things like that. It's cool. I'm glad to get them as a sponsor. It could lead to bigger things.
Yeah, that's just it. This might be a baby step, and these are just building blocks.
Of course.
Clearly, getting them in.
It's just
on
not
board.
It's not as cool as winning a car.
No.
It's quite a step down. So,
so very interesting. In terms of what UC's trying to do, and I think that's part of the bigger picture.
Yeah.
I guess we have to somewhat say, sit on your hands and be a little patient.
Correct.
As to, he's got a bigger plan in mind. He obviously knows that he's got to build relationships. He's got to build these things into the bigger picture. And we can't just expect, oh, well, I'm running this really big tournament. I've got this $50,000 sponsor that's just decided to jump on board. Like, he's building those relationships.
Exactly.
And that's all part of this, and all part of, if you have big media coverage and exposure, and you have a few thousand people in the gallery, and you have a few thousand people at home watching, those are things he can take back to a Mercedes in 2 years and say, here's what we started with a couple years ago. I mean, so I understand all those building blocks, and I don't have a problem with that.
I think of all the things he did, the spectators, to me, is the most impressive. More so than the media, more so than the payout, more so than the course. And I don't know if that's just,
Is that built in, though? And again, not discrediting him.
I don't know.
Is it built in, though? Because people over there kind of care already.
They do.
They have kids that go to after-school programs and play disc golf and train and play and learn disc golf after school every day. Like,
it's easier, we'll say that. But he still clearly probably had to get the word out. There was probably advertising for it. I'm sure there was media, local media broadcasting that. Getting that type of, because I believe they had to pay to be a spectator too.
Sure,
I think it was like $5 or
and I mean USDGC has had. For all I know. I mean USDGC, talk about obviously in the similar of a family, but USDGC has for many years said you pay a $5 ticket to get into the Winthrop Gold Course, and then you can take that $5 ticket, go right to the pro shop, and get a $9 disc.
Yeah,
I mean, just showing up and cashing in on getting discs for $5, could be a good deal for you.
Yeah.
If you wanted to round up you and a whole school bus full of kids, you're like, hey, I just profited on discs. But I mean, it goes along with, dare I say, the pay to play model, in that if you put a value on something,
Sure.
There's a perceived value there.
Of course, yeah.
Letting people come play for free is like, well, anybody can walk up and watch this? Well, no, wait a minute. No, I have to pay to get into this Frisbee golf. This must be a big deal.
Yeah, of
so
course.
that's
Yeah,
that whole
there's a
mentality there that I think they're
there's
following along with.
Yeah.
So very interesting for sure. And, obviously hats off to UC, hats off to his whole team.
Jamie Thomas, I thought, did, and we'll quickly talk about the actual broadcast.
Sure.
They did 5 nights, I believe, of the Insider Show.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was nighttime their time, yes.
Yeah,
but yes.
correct. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 2 o'clock, I think. 2
For
o'clock
us.
in the afternoon for us.
Us in Central, yep.
Central time. And then they showed about the last 4 to 5 holes. They showed, I think, the last 1 hole for the women and the last 4 to 5 for the men.
Okay, it was that many. I did not.
I believe.
I admit I've seen most of
missed
the.
it. I missed like the first couple minutes of the show, so they might have showed 2 holes for the women, but
Okay.
and I think that goes for a couple things for those people that don't know. It's expensive to wire and get all that information around a disc golf course, I'm sure.
Yes.
So they had a couple camera shots for each hole, it looked like. And, they had guys wandering around with whatever wireless transmitters that they had to broadcast back to what looked like a broadcast truck. And if they spent $50,000 and they looked like they only covered a small portion of that course, imagine the costs to cover that entire course. You need probably 3 times that number of equipment and people. Well, maybe not. Yeah, it depends what you're doing with the people, but they could wander. Who knows? And they had all sorts of different camera angles, which I thought were cool. They had this really cool 3,200 frame per second slow-mo shots that they had. For the 5 holes that they broadcast, I liked it a lot. It looked professional. It looked like it should be taken seriously.
Which we would expect nothing less.
Nothing less.
Yeah.
And, and then they did the Insider Show where they brought a guest in every night and they talked to him about, they had a nice little studio set up. They had some audio issues the first 2 days with mics, it sounded like. And then they had their 3rd day was like pitch perfect. It was front to back. And their last 2 days, it looked like they had some live issues with streaming. It cut out a little early, but they were able to upload after the fact a really nice version. So I enjoyed it. I mean, and that's what you can do with that kind of staff. You can get all those awesome stats that Dana provides us and that Guru provided them, and you can get that stuff. Some people didn't like it. Some people just want to see golf.
Yeah,
and that's what we run into. We know that but UC thought that nobody wants to watch a boring, as he said, a boring 4-hour round. I don't blame him, but people do it for golf. People will sit down Sunday afternoon and watch 2.5 hours of I think they had the European Open or whatever they had, the British Open or whatever they were doing.
The Open, yeah.
The Open. It wasn't the British Open, I know that, but actually I don't know that. So people will sit and do that for regular golf.
And again, I say this a lot. We've been so, I don't want to say spoiled. We've been so dialed in or tuned in to, here's a 4-hour disc golf round in 45 minutes. So that's become our norm. Yeah. And that's thanks to YouTube and everything else. That's become our norm. Yeah. And so now when you and I, or when Disc Golf Planet or the Emporia Group or Spin or anyone puts on a full-blown tournament round, some people can it's always after the fact. Usually if you're sitting down and watching it, you're watching it. You don't watch the Super Bowl in a 45-minute condensed version on Monday. You don't. You watch it on Sunday night with your friends because that's when it's happening. And you take that time out of your day and out of your life and you plan for that. And some people don't.
They don't realize because they run into it after the fact.
Exactly. And then they're like, "Oh my God, this." Could you imagine if you got up on Monday morning after the Super Bowl, like, "Oh my God, there was 14 hours of Super Bowl coverage. You guys are such jerks. How am I supposed to consume this?" Well, you don't, because you make time for it on Sunday.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're not.
But we're
not programmed that way in disc golf.
I don't want to say uneducated. The people are ignorant of that. It is that it was a live. What they're watching is exactly what people watched live.
Yeah.
So, they're coming to expect like, oh, where's the 45 to 37 minute version of it? That's just people that don't know, and we try to correct them. But yeah, that's what UC kind of wanted to avoid, and maybe we'll get. Jamie Thomas says that we're in the next couple days we're going to get a condensed version of the final round.
Okay.
With some added cool things. I don't know what that is. Maybe interviews or cool special effects. Who knows? Jamie's always got a surprise up his sleeve. And UC says on Friday that he's going to tell us the actual numbers for the live TV broadcast. So,
which will still be, I don't want to say skewed, but they're not directly relatable to us
no, they're not.
in the
of course
US.
Not. No.
They're still not. And
not at all.
They're going to be, I'm guessing they're going to be phenomenal. I'm excited.
If he's teasing them out, I think they are.
I'm guessing they're going to be phenomenal, but even if he tells us, if he tells us 1.3 million people watched it live on their television in Finland, 1.3 million people watched it, obviously those are almost all people over there, and that means really good things for people over there, and the sport's going to continue to grow and have an impact over there. And I don't want to be U.S. centric here. I'm just saying that's still not relatable to us back here.
Could it expand over here if it's really hot there? It could help expand it here a little bit. I mean, it took a long time, but soccer is slowly starting to pick up. I mean, 20 years ago, most people didn't care about World Cup action because I think the U.S. wasn't very good. Now we have the world's best women's team, and people care. People get together to watch. It's big news when we score 5 goals in like 2 minutes or whatever it was. Like, it's just amazing. So maybe it's going to take different things in different times. We'll find out. Well,
either way, it's going to be exciting.
Are we going to still be doing this?
We'll be here.
All right.
Probably. And to put it in perspective, when we do most of our stuff, like for instance, Maple Hill, that was one of our most recent, one of our larger, most recent broadcasts. We had Jonny V here as a single person right here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Bam, sitting right in this chair.
We had myself on behind the tee, almost every shot, behind the tee with a single cameraman who happened to be Steve Dodge's brother, Todd Dodge, phenomenal guy. And we had Joe Height with a camera and the transmitting backpack. He was on the second camera. So in theory, we had, like I said, Joe, myself, Todd, and you.
4 people.
That means we had 4 people as our entire Smashbox crew. AJ Risley was out there getting the shots for post-production.
Post-production stuff.
But in theory, we had 4 people.
Yeah.
Our budget wasn't $50,000.
I jokingly said, I'm like, I can't imagine what we could do with $50,000.
And I'm not saying we could do anything better.
No, but we
better
could,
than them. But we could do better
we
in
could do
general.
better than us than what we did do.
Correct.
Yeah.
So their stats, and that's what I kind of referenced very early on in the show. Their stats, their information, their graphics, their highlight packages, their promos, their previews, their recaps, all of that stuff is all part of that $50,000.
And I mean,
it was phenomenal.
It helped them out a lot that they were overseas, and they had a lot of time from the end of the round to their insider show. Because I saw at GBO, Dynamic Disc tried to do the same thing, where they had an after show where they wanted to do highlight packages and some stats and talks and maybe get a couple players in there, which they did. I think McCabe stepped in and once or twice. And I was in the war room, so to speak. It was stressful that they were trying to gather all the data and all the video and cut it together and color correct it and add this and that just to get it to this after show. And they were, maybe 4 or 5 guys as well, just for that particular purpose.
Yeah.
They had filming and whatnot. So it's, and it sounded like UC had 10.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm guessing that they were stressed at 10.
Of course, and they had a lot of holes to cover, a lot of people, a lot of cameras.
I would love for us to be able to do a show like at Maple Hill, where then we were able to take the video, edit together a little package, have whoever sit down next to you and say, "Hey, look at these 5 shots you just threw. Tell us about them."
Mm-hmm.
You know how hard that is for us.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to make excuses. It's very difficult. There's a time frame. Like if we had one or two more people, that's great. But then, what do we pay those people? Do they do it for free? All that other good stuff. So for what we do right now, I'm very happy with how we do it. And we have an audience for our live viewers. And there's an audience that doesn't want to watch it live, that wants to watch a 37-minute version. And I can completely understand. It's different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, and know that we intently watch what happened at the European Open because we're fans of disc golf first and foremost, and second of all, of course we're seeing all the great stuff that they're doing, and some of it's very explainable to us, some of it's just dollars and cents, some of it's very innovative and never been done before, and we can applaud and appreciate all of it.
Oh God!
I mean, there's
UC, for what UC did, he knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, and we can easily say to one another, "Oh my gosh, look at how they did that," or "That's great that they did it." Of course, not every single thing they did is exactly how we would do it, but they I don't know. It was very impressive, and hats off to them. Little side note, I did in fact reach out to Jamie Thomas, asked him if he did want to join us on the show tonight. He was at the moment I asked him, he was in the Chicago O'Hare Airport.
I mean, I think he's been there all day,
and he's literally, as we're speaking, I think he is not even quite touchdown in San Francisco. And of course I said to him, we were typing on Facebook at the exact same time, I said, maybe you're only 60 minutes away from our studio, maybe you should postpone your flight and come visit and be in our studio tonight. And as soon as I hit send, I got almost the exact same message from him. Maybe I should postpone my flight and come up to your studio for the night.
There you go.
So anyway, so Jamie Thomas, sorry we couldn't have you tonight, because you're in flight, but just great job, and we love what you guys did. There's a lot, and one other thing, I guess maybe a final note on it is, and our message board has blown up tonight, and we have our feelings, and our message board and other entire threads and Facebook posts have all said it. Even with 40-ish people and $50,000, they didn't please everyone. And that's not a knock on them, and it's not a pat on the back for anyone else. It just goes to prove really what we say all the time is you can't please everyone.
What do you think would please the most people? Here's what I think. Showing all the round with the coverage that they did just for those 5 holes. All the wonderful camera angles, the shots. Then having someone put out a 45-minute version.
Yeah.
With commentary from some pro, and then Jamie doing the after show and having it nail it perfect. I think that would please the most people, because I think you've covered almost every base.
Except for the people that want the show in some other language. They want somebody has to transcribe, translate for Jamie Thomas.
Yeah, the ASL stuff.
Yeah, and
that's true. I missed it.
And our sign language friends, and our hearing impaired friends. They definitely need everything put into ASL for them. And I'm saying over there, somebody needed to be a translator for Jamie Thomas and to finish for all of his after show.
Okay, so you can please more people that way. Fine.
Nope, still not pleasing.
I know you're
them.
not pleasing everybody, but
and then some sponsor's going to be mad somewhere.
Oh, sure, of course.
Some sponsor, somehow. Won't be represented. So good job. Thank you guys for what you guys did. You've definitely set a new bar with so many of the different aspects.
I feel like we need a TV back here now with like our logo on it.
Right here.
I'm right in front of our backdrop with nothing but our logo.
It was great to see, and we appreciate it, and everybody's excited. And as we close the door on this chapter, everybody wants to know, you and I included, what are we going to see at the USDGC?
Correct, because from our understanding, Spin TV is organizing coverage for USDGC as well.
Correct.
So,
and it's been on. I don't think it's a secret really anywhere that it's on confirmation. In fact, that Disc Golf Planet's not covering it live.
Nope, that's what we've heard.
Spin TV. Through the national network had live for the last few holes, but I don't know if that was technically a Spin TV production, or like Spin TV, hired them out?
Yeah, that's a good
Are they going to
question.
hire those
And-
same people and have them come over and give us live at USDGC?
Who knows? Yeah, no idea.
We're excited to learn ourselves.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be announcing something in the next couple weeks.
I hope so.
October, or August, maybe not.
Who knows?
Maybe by September.
Who knows?
Here's a question I had, and maybe UC would answer it, maybe he wouldn't. That TV crew that came out, did UC
Pay them?
or did they bid for that? Some people were talking about the YLE network, that it's kind of like their PBS.
Oh, okay.
And that
it could have been
it's
like
more respect. It's like a more.
So is it like a community resource driven
No,
group of volunteers?
I don't know exactly, but apparently it's much respectful is the word that's popping in my head, but it's not the one I want to use.
Regarded?
It's a much higher regarded, as in it's fancier, kind of like your Masterpiece Theater kind of. I'm
Sure.
imagining that's kind of what I heard, and I don't know how true that is, but I heard it on the internet, so it has to be true.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
On the internet.
We're on the internet. And everything we say is true.
Yeah, dead nuts, straight
So,
on, absolutely
yeah.
true.
I mean, that's so yeah. Once we find out more about USDGC, I know you've been there like every year, so I think you want to go from some aspect. do
Yeah, I want to be
blogging or-
present, and by no means would we say that Smashbox in a live capacity will be there. I've
No,
been there in a
but you
video blog
personally,
capacity.
yeah.
I've also been there helping with Disc Golf Planet for a number of years, who, like we said, isn't going to be involved. So I'm unsure as to the format, the formula. That's a great question for Jamie Thomas. He may or may not know. That may be something that UC or Jonathan Poole has, up their sleeve, or still has, is guarding closely. Maybe
Yeah.
not, but
Yeah, it could be a big
hopefully we'll find out
announcement or
soon.
not.
Hopefully we'll find out soon. We do know. Speaking of the Worlds, let's start with.
Disc Golf Planet said that they were going to announce a schedule pretty soon for
Okay.
Pro Worlds, because they're doing all the coverage for Pro Worlds.
Yep, they will be live at the Pro Worlds over in Pittsburgh. So they announced on their Facebook, I think, right, that there was going to be a schedule soon of
Yes.
where and what
Yep.
they're going to be covering, and then
And they said lots of extras too. So which is
and
kinda
extras, good. And then, as a quick side note, some of you may or may not have already realized or understand, we are not at the Amateur World Championships this week.
Cool. Are we?
We're late. We're late.
Oh,
I think we missed
no!
the first round, first couple rounds for some divisions. But yes, we are not at the amateur championships. We were there last year in Minnesota. We were still kind of getting our feet wet and learning the ropes and working harder and less efficiently at the time. But we are not going to be there obviously this year. But we're planning on possibly Johnny V and myself showing up to Kalamazoo. We've talked with the PDGA. We've talked with the staff. And what I'd like to do is possibly get there late Friday afternoon and then into Saturday morning for semifinals, and then Saturday afternoon for the finals. You're going to see some Disc Golf Guy video blog coverage and capturing those crowning moments and doing interviews. And I'm just excited. I posted earlier today on Facebook. I have been involved with, once I'm going to include this year, I've now been involved with 15 Amateur World Championships. No, I didn't play them all. Don't even make the jokes. But as of this year, I'll be involved with 15 Worlds, Am Worlds, and I believe it's also like 15 or 17 Pro Worlds. And it's an exciting week. It's electrifying. There's 752 players over in Kalamazoo right now.
It's a different kind of energy. It's more of it's clearly a little more relaxed than Pro Worlds, because these people are out, a lot of these people take this as like a vacation, because there's
only going to be
there's only going to be one champion.
Yep, per division.
And these guys are really excited.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun, and the fact that they get any coverage, I think they're super excited about.
Yeah, I mean, last year we broke ground and had the first ever live Am Worlds coverage.
Yep.
And we're hoping to
cookie butter.
Yeah, we're hoping next year we're going to be talking to our good friend Mike Batko about live coverage next year at the Worlds, which is taking again place just 45 minutes west of us in Madison, Wisconsin. So we're excited to be there. We're really looking forward to it, and we wish everyone the best of luck, and just know that we'll be there recording sometime later in the week. So best of luck to everyone regarding the Amateur Worlds this week.
Sure.
All right. I think we've exhausted European Open, Pro Worlds, Am Worlds coverage. We've exhausted Birdie Bash coverage.
We've got it all.
All the other different coverages. I think we got them all covered. All things disc golf, I know, has been working diligently on putting out articles for you to read, for those that can read. They're a great resource. If you can read, they're a great resource. Why is that so funny?
It's funny.
So if you can, all things disc golf, if you can spell and get yourself there, even better. But allthingsdiscgolf.com. I know he said he put out various articles. I know he's reached out to Jamie Thomas. I know he's reached out to Paul Macbeth. I know he's reached out to UC. So you're going to see some more European Open coverage following now, even after the event. So we'd like to thank Zach over there and for his continued efforts, and we're glad to promote and do everything we can to make sure everyone's checking those things out again from a reading capacity. Let's take a look. I've covered most of my stuff.
We've covered
a lot of stuff in general. If you're a Silver Creek Open fan, I'm working really hard to try and get that posted. The final 9 here in Wisconsin from last weekend. Again, I've been traveling around quite a bit, but I am looking to get the final 9 posted for the Silver Cup. So stay tuned on that from a video blog perspective. Yeah, wow. Oh, I can make a plea. Pro Worlds, if anybody's got an extra floor spot, extra 2 rooms that I need, any extra space, let me know. I may be traveling kind of solo. There's virtually no one from Wisconsin going.
Yeah.
A lot of our Wisconsinites seem to skip out of the Pro Worlds experience. Once Barry moved away, I know Holly Finley resides in Wisconsin, and she's already there. I saw her on Facebook saying that she's already there practicing, which give her props for being able to go there weeks early to practice. So if you've got a hookup for some lodging opportunities, I'm disc golf rich. So rather than rolling in my own hotel, and I was gonna outfit myself with a dually truck and an RV like Macbeth for the weekend, but I didn't have a couple extra $100,000 to do that.
You could probably sneak in there, sleep in the truck part while they sleep in there.
There you go. And then I could maybe double up and be Paul Macbeth's watchdog on his bag, so nobody steals his bag.
True that.
That could be a possibility. So, anyway, those are that's a shout out. If you got an extra space that's cheap or free, let me know. I might be an easy guest. Some have said I'm an easy guest, according to Bill Sherman and others. Anyway, all right. Anything else we got to worry about on here? I mean, we've got some picks. Got a couple people calling in. We'll get to our usually our write-ins if we do an after show.
Sure. I'm gonna go my pick of the week because I've been doing nothing but this week. My pick of the week is Pokemon.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
We are a little old for I think the initial Pokemon swing when it first came out. I believe we were in high school or something, or junior high. I don't know the history of it. But my freaking 6-year-old is nothing but Pokemon now. Pokemon on Netflix. We bought him Pokemon cards so him and his friends can play. Now I had to sit and learn how to play Pokemon card game. It's not easy.
I'm guessing there's at least more
collect them all.
Collectability, but more payoff, so to speak, than Garbage Pail Kids.
Yes, I was thinking that this is his version of baseball cards.
Yeah,
and maybe he'll get into baseball cards. I mean, our baseball cards are worthless, more or less. But I did kind of take a look, and the most expensive Pokemon card is like $350 or $250. Not bad. It's some rare fire-breathing dragon. I don't know. My kid seems to know them all, though.
Oh, of course.
And it's a 6-year-old thing. I'm sure I knew all the He-Man when I was that age. So, yeah, so that's my pick of the week. If you have a young kid, get him some Pokemon cards.
Wow. Is it...
It's a lot of... It's a kid version of Magic the Gathering is all it is. Like, you play a card and you attack another player and you've got all these little chips you put on, and it's good for adding, and that's kind of how I have to look at it. You know? Like, oh, Dad, I poisoned your guy. Yeah, he's going to lose 10 health points every time, and I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Wow.
And of course I give him all the best cards because they're his favorite. They're like these laminated foil cards, and so he kicks my butt every time because he's got the best cards. But
Oh yeah, sure. Blame the cards.
yeah, I'm gonna blame the cards. So
Because you can't beat a
I
6-year-old.
can't beat a 6-year-old.
I wish I was getting paid for this plug, but I'm gonna go with Priceline, and not because I think Kaylee Cuoco is
Not hard on the eyes.
very attractive.
She's married now.
Yep. Kaylee Cuoco Sweeting, I believe it is. Anyway, no, I'm gonna go with Priceline, and I say that because now twice in a row, I have, in somewhat of a last minute, looked up to try to price out a rental car. One time in California and one time recently in Wisconsin, and I tried to price out a rental car. Both times the prices seemed really good, especially from what I saw elsewhere. I booked them, and both times when I got into the rental agency, I said, why in the world am I getting it at this price? And every other competitor, every other website, including Enterprises or the actual company's website, I said, are 2, 3, 4 times this amount. And they said sometimes people like Priceline, big companies, reserve an entire block. They buy an entire block of rentals or whatever. And if people don't exhaust all of them, they're still within that block. So here's the example. I went into Enterprise a few days ago, and all of their cars, everywhere I looked, were $37, $47, $57 a day. The one I got through Priceline was $9 a day. It didn't make any sense. I checked all sorts of times, all sorts of days, and Priceline was $9. Everyone else was double or triple that. And it sounded like Priceline just had this block of them, and so I benefited. So twice now in the last 2 rentals I've gotten, both California and Wisconsin, Priceline was way below. And I'm sure that could be said of any major company. You go out to hotels.com and you may see it for, a hotel for $50 and everyone else has them for $100, and same thing, they had a block of them. But anyway, Kaylee Cuoco, William Shatner, Priceline. I'm gonna
All right.
negotiate her. Yeah. So anyway, that's my pick of the week. Priceline, it worked. Thank you very much.
My other pick is Game of Thrones. It's great.
You're into that?
Oh yeah, I got the wife into it now too. We're like halfway through season 3. I've read the books, so I kind of know what's coming, what's going on.
You
But-
have to say it then. The books were better. Just say it,
No,
because
no.
everybody says that.
No,
You always say it, but everybody says
usually
that,
it is.
and usually it's.
usually they are. I mean, you get more. Usually,
I
you
think
get
there's
more
almost
story.
a setup.
You
So-
get more story with a book because you can go off on side tangents, whatever. But this show is awesome. You wouldn't like it. You're not that kind.
No, I don't think I would.
It's not your style.
What was Tuesday
I love
nights
it.
that everybody watched?
I have no
You
idea.
sure it wasn't Game of Thrones?
No.
That was Sundays always.
Sundays always.
Because even Schwebby, maybe I'm thinking of Wednesday nights. No, Tuesday nights. Even Schwebby, I remember, wasn't available a lot of Tuesday nights because he had to leave and go watch something on Tuesday nights. So
no
Smashies, tell us what it was, because there's something that is very popular in today's current day, as in the last year or two, that was Tuesday nights that everybody watched. And it's a show that I wasn't into.
I don't know, but we'll save it for the after show.
Okay.
Let's close it out, Miller.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. All right. So for podcast number 45, we've given you a little bit of European Open review in terms of their shows and everything else they did. We gave you some Vibram Birdie Bash reviews. We'd like to thank Dana Vicich for all his not so insider stats. We'd like to thank Zoe Andyke for joining us. For Jonny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, that was podcast 45. We'll catch you guys next week when you step inside the Smash Box.
All right, we're back. After show.
Hey, no, it wasn't Bates Hotel. It is a very, very popular.
Like Modern Family or something?
No, it was on a. It was a not a.
There was nothing good on Tuesday on Tuesday nights.
I
Wednesday
am
nights.
positive.
Yeah, I have no clue, but yeah, but it's none of. I mean, the big ones right now. Was Breaking Bad? Was that on Wednesday?
No,
I didn't think so because I always watch it after the fact. So, yeah, Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, Mad Men. Those are all like weekends. Those were all. No, I think.
It's gonna drive me crazy.
Well, that's fine.
No, not Nip Tuck, not Party Tuck.
Nip Tuck.
No, it was
Silk Stockings.
I don't want
on
to
the
say
USA
it was.
Network.
Yeah. Well, I missed the main show. Got to get back in time for the after show. Glad you could join us. No, not Grey's Anatomy.
That could be Grey's Anatomy.
It was not though. It was
was it something like The Bachelor?
It was something. No,
American
it was
Idol?
No,
That's
no,
on, like,
it
every
wasn't
night.
any of those. It was something like a Game of Thrones.
I bet you it was the motorcycle one, Sons of Anarchy.
Yes, thank you. There it is.
Because you said Schwebby, and I remember Schwebby was a huge
There
fan.
you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Finally
Thank
hit
you.
Sons of Anarchy.
Yes, very big on Tuesday nights, and everybody talked about it. Don't tell me it wasn't
It
as
was,
popular. It was.
it wasn't quite as popular, but
Everybody talked about it.
but it was up there. It was kind of
It was Housewives of Grey's Anatomy and Sons of Anarchy in Atlanta, Georgia County.
Glee.
That were gleeful. Yes,
So,
Sons of Anarchy.
Sons of
Thank you.
Anarchy,
That's
yes.
what, and I think that's completely done.
Yes,
Do you know?
it's done.
Okay. Did you watch that?
No,
I didn't think so.
I'm not planning. It wasn't not my style. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. What about Penn and Teller Fool Us? What do you think of that show?
Awesome.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
Okay, so
I haven't watched much of it, but
funny you bring that up. The guy who's running his podcast right now, like at this very second,
should we tune in?
we should.
He's got better content than us.
Probably. So he was just on Penn and Teller Fool Us like last night. So the guy the podcast that I say I missed because I'm listening to ours.
Oh.
He's a magician and
Oh.
he does a podcast, and he also does. I mean, he does a cord cutters. If you want a really good podcast to listen to, it's called cord killers. It's on my thing. It's a lot of fun. It talks all about the media industry and television industry, and Hulu and how to cut your cord. Anyway, he does that. But he's a magician. He was a magician originally, and so he was just on it last night. So he had this little watch party, which I couldn't do. His name is Brian Brushwood. He basically like ate a dollar bill or something and pulled it out of someone's stomach. So.
And did he fooled him?
No.
Oh.
No.
Oh.
The trick he did is pretty standard.
Okay.
Just the way he actually performed it, because there's all of like 30 tricks in magic.
Yeah,
apparently.
exactly.
It's just different ways
variations of them.
I'll say this: the one reason I want to go to Las Vegas is to see Penn and Teller. I've been a big fan of magicians since I was a little kid. I saw David Copperfield in Green Bay.
Yeah, of course.
And Penn and Teller, I think, would be just a blast to see. It's one of those things
Yeah.
that I would, if I go to Vegas, I'm definitely going to suit it around there. Or even Copperfield. I know Copperfield does a huge thing in Vegas now as well. He's a regular there.
Yeah, and circling around the internets is one of the recent ones where the guy actually fooled them, as he said.
Yeah, there's a few.
Yeah,
of them
I
that
mean,
get fooled.
I'm sure a few have, but there's one recently that I sat and watched the other night.
Which one was it? The card guy with that didn't talk?
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
With the smoke and the...
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So I thought that was pretty cool. And this is something we're going to probably have on the show at another time. Not that. This is something. She is someone we're going to probably have on the other show. Is a better way to word that. Is Katrina Kozar. She is a local, to us,
from
Milwaukee girl and Milwaukee woman. And she is currently on Master Chef. And she was on there just last week. I think she's made it into the top 10. I don't know if they started with 200 or with 20 or how many they started with. She's made it down to the top 10. And she's on Master Chef. She is a bona fide, legitimate, regular disc golfer. Disc golf's been disc golfing for years. I've known her since like at least 2005 or 2006, somewhere in that time frame. She's been playing for a long time, and she's on Master Chef. Her name is Katrina.
Yep.
And she's local to us. And I just talked to her a few weeks ago. Said I want to do some video blog stuff with you. We definitely have to have her on the show.
She's into the Dolls League here.
Yep, the Disc On Ladies League.
She just played at the Manitowoc in the Park, or the Silver
yep.
Cup.
Yeah, which I was confused because I saw her on Friday night and I said, it's something about playing. And I said something about the show and everything. I said something about playing. She's like, yeah, no, just nice, not doing anything. And then I saw her on the results. Like, she very much led me to believe
that she wasn't going to play.
That she wasn't playing all weekend, but she was already signed up and then competed.
Yeah.
I don't know if she just didn't know what day it was or if she's not used to being able to tell results ahead of time. But
she can't tell you. I can't tell you how I complete.
She blew my mind because she made it sound like she's just here relaxing with friends.
Yeah.
And the very first day after competition, I see she
well,
played courses.
Yeah, well, you and I have talked about this, and there's actually not a lot of them, but people that necessarily aren't hot disc golfers on the scene, but are disc golfers and maybe other things. I had not reached out, but I had told you one of the people I'd like to get on would be Ben Askren, who hasn't really played a lot of events lately, but is an avid disc golfer, and he is a world champion MMA fighter for not for UFC because they won't let him in that league.
Used to be the Bellator,
and now it's Ace, I think.
I'm not sure what he's in right now.
I think it's Ace. It's like it's something.
How fitting for a disc golfer.
Yeah, that is kind of true. I didn't think about that. Somewhere, I believe that it's based out of Korea or the Southeast Asia, something around there, something like that. So, yeah, I think it'd be kind of cool to have him on and talk to him about his history with disc golf and his history with MMA and wrestling and things
he's a local to us. Grew up not more than a half hour from here, actually closer to where I live.
Yeah,
and Olympic gold medalist. He went over to Beijing. Funny story is that he actually, I think someone in his family worked with someone, maybe my wife or someone. At some point, I donated stuff that was a fundraiser to help him with his training and/or his something to do with him going to.
You should probably return that.
Yeah, he totally should. So, and he's played in a couple of events that I've run. He's sponsored by Discraft, and he's just an all-around really nice guy. And you're right, he's not as much on the disc golf scene lately. He's kind of, I think, preoccupied with other.
Yeah. I mean, when I thought about this a couple weeks ago, I actually kind of went out and said, well, what's he doing? I followed him on Twitter. I think he's just like at Ben Askren probably. And he does a lot of training for guys in the UFC.
Yeah.
Like right now, there's a wrestler.
Runs clinics and camps and such too.
Because there's one of the biggest, as far as, I mean, I don't know much about MMA. So, but I do know he is the type of person they call ground and pound. He's a grappler. And he is one of the best in the world, but it's boring. It's boring to watch some guy. People want to see.
Some say it's boring.
Yeah, some say it's boring. People want to see people get hit and this and that. But he teaches a lot of the MMA guys, a lot of the UFC guys, how to do it because he's a world class. He's an Olympic wrestler. So he's training CM Punk, who was like a WWF guy, to get into UFC. Apparently, I don't know. And that's all here in Milwaukee. They've actually technically Tosa, but that's where their gym is. It's one of the best gyms in the world for this. And they've trained other MMA guys. So I did a little bit of research into it, just thinking like, hey, I'd love to have him on. I wonder if he would spare Tuesday night for us. So it's not, it's not Paul McBeth. It's not, you're not getting your regular disc golf stuff, but it would be a kind of a cool change of pace to hear their side of disc golf. So
yeah, exactly. And then and that's kind of where the conversation's going. Are there other famous disc golfers out there? Obviously famous always being a somewhat subjective term. But real quick, William Buckley, yes, Piff the Magic Iguana or Dragon or whatever he was on that show was very entertaining. I definitely agree with that. Durko says that Jennifer Sawyer was awesome on the mic. So some of the funny things about that is, first of all, I kind of sprung it on her. Jennifer, I reached out to her late, and I thought rather than just me giving you commentary throughout the entire weekend and trying to work a camera and being a little as I'm doing it right now, being my mind wandering and or losing concentration, I reached out to Jennifer, who I had met a year or two ago, just super awesome, women's ambassador right there in the Kalamazoo area for her Climax Ladies Club. She runs a league every Sunday with all of the women. Just this really great ambassador and woman, and I reached out to her to join me for commentary. She said Sunday would work, so she was there. Little did she know it'd be all day Sunday.
Yeah.
But she stepped up and was awesome. And on Saturday we had Kirk Hagedorn on from Luna, or he's known as Luna, pretty much to the world. He's a Prodigy sponsored player, and he stepped in and did some commentary with us on Saturday. So, of course, we'd like to thank both of them, and it was great having them both because they were fresh, new voices and faces. But also, one thing I think Luna was a little miffed by some of the challenges it takes to be live and to be constantly thinking on your toes in that sense for our disc golfers, and Jennifer the same. And I think she even said, "Wow, this is a lot tougher than I thought it would be."
Yeah, trying to come up with unique things to say for 3.5 hours of that particular course with those particular players, watching people hit trees.
Yeah, and so and I think some of the heat and some of her prior days' exhaustion got to her a little bit. And it's I would say it's more challenging than you would think. I know there's, bingo cards for me and for Crazy John, because we do say certain things a lot. I own up to all of those in a very polite way. I would challenge anyone to go out and try commentary. It's not easy to do, and I'm not making excuses for myself.
At Manitowoc, I did some with my group. When one guy walked up to throw, we were at Rolling Ridge, and I had thrown. He was like right next to me. I had thrown. I took a step away, and I said, "Oh, here." I lined up the shot, and it was just a little pitch up, as most of my shots were there. I'm like, that was one of the threes I got, and I stepped away, and I kind of said, "Oh, he's just going to kind of take the same thing." Lou, I forget who was
Wade.
No. Maybe it was Wade. I forget. But someone said, "Oh, you should do commentary for this whole round," and I did it for that one shot, and I quit. But I think that would get old with your group real quick.
Yeah,
So,
I know. Barrett White
maybe it
does
was
a lot
Wade.
of. Barrett White does a lot of commentary within the women's group.
Yeah, I think
always calling the shots. She'd be a great Sports Center announcer. So, anyway, thank you to them. It was great. We'll always continue to develop new talents and people that come in. And
people asked how come we had other people doing it. And I said this is a particular event where it's kind of good to test other people out.
Yeah.
Give you a break, because people are
So sick of me.
Of you.
Oh, just sick and tired
but
of me.
It gives other people a chance to see if it's someone we want to grab for another event, or if it's someone who's like blows us away, maybe get them more often to co-host with you, or take your job.
Hey, please
run you right out of town.
Take it, go.
So
I can get back to my stellar professional play.
Yes, you get back to what we really drive to do is play disc golf.
Yeah. I don't know if I love or hate the fact there's a very healthy argument going on as to which Power Ranger is which.
Yeah. Apparently the red Power Ranger guy from the first series is the golfer. There's some, like, who are famous disc golfers. The only reason I picked those two is because they are tournament golfers. They have dipped their toe into that.
Yeah.
There are other golf, we have seen other people play disc
Mark
golf.
Sailing, who, has, as far as I know, not competed in any tournaments yet.
Bubba Watson, Aaron Rodgers has said he golfs.
Yep.
Kristen Stewart, she from the Twilight series,
yep.
She has been seen disc golfing, taking pictures of that. But we're never getting those people on. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is ever calling in on a Tuesday night.
Okay, maybe not.
But it is. But those two particularly, Ben and Katrina, are both. A, they're local, but B, they are tournament golfers.
Yeah.
So they have a bigger tie to disc golf than just your average, hey,
celebrity that happens to play once in a while.
Goes out and plays around now and again with his buddies.
Sure. So it will be very cool, and we'll see if we can get some more of those types of players in here and on the show, on our inside our Shasta box or something. So how are we gonna fit them both in here if they join us next week?
I think it'll be maybe
close quarters.
It'll be close quarters. Stepping out, I might be able to rearrange the studio.
Yeah, otherwise known as your basement.
The studio.
Yeah, the studio. The studio.
Hey, where's your basement?
Speaking of basements, if anybody knows washers and dryers, you want to come fix mine.
Yeah,
I've got problems.
Leaking water.
Yeah, well, I'll worry about that later.
We'll figure that out tomorrow.
Hashtag SmashBox double check. I like that.
That's right.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of what's been going on.
Yeah, European Open kind of. There's something on Reddit here. Scott Stokely got what they called a sick eagle. I believe it was like an 800-foot shot through a ton of woods. I'm gonna see
some conversations. Scott Stokely did in fact announce, I guess, that he's freed from the court system.
Yeah, because he had tested clean
for any and all illegal substances or drugs.
Yeah, I mean,
it said drugs, not illegal substances. So
correct.
Wow, is this your screen or is this just really? Do you want to show
it's
everyone?
60 frames per second. Oh,
okay,
God, I did it again. Yeah, I forgot to switch it over. So basically, I'm gonna start it over here.
There you go.
Oh, sorry, 650 feet, par 5, because it's through the woods. It's super crisp. People aren't going to notice it because we're only broadcasting at 30 frames a second, but we're seeing it at 60 frames a second, which makes it look really crisp and clean. And you've seen this with other 60 frames a second, right? It's looked like this before? Okay.
Stokely was really giddy about his tee shot there, as you probably. Do we know whose footage this is by any chance?
No clue, but I think this is during like a final 9.
Oh, okay. So it was during competition. That this isn't just practice rounds.
I believe so.
And 650 feet or
650 feet, par 5 through this.
So in theory, he should be looking at. Yeah, I was gonna say he should be looking at a putt from here.
Yeah.
See, he's using a gateway bag. That's.
And the funny thing is, he knows it like before it even goes in that he hit it.
Wow. Okay. So that's definitely pretty cool. Presented. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
So that's. I saw that
by Stephen Kane.
Stephen Kane.
Interesting. All right. Well, Stephen Kane is apparently going to have some solid stuff coming out, which is pretty cool. Reading, I'm going to check in on a few things. McBeast is in high demand, says Dan Harbeck. Yeah, and we consciously
talked
didn't
about getting,
reach out to Paul.
Yeah, we talked about getting him on the show, but then we thought, he did just win 2 majors.
Correct.
There's not, but with Worlds coming up, and a couple other things, and him being busy at Am Worlds, we thought that we might just want to save Paul.
We'll be checking with him
during Worlds or maybe right after Worlds, depending on how he does.
Sure.
Whoever wins Worlds, we hope to have him on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if whoever we had on the week before wins Worlds. We're going to get him the week after. But, figure we don't need to go into that Paul well too much. Because he does, when we go to events, he is one of the first guys that will be like, oh, yeah, I'll sit down with you and talk.
Yeah, and he's willing to talk and whatnot with us. So
yeah, and whether or
he's
not
really good with
whether or not he wants to, he'll still do it, I think. He just won't tell us.
Yeah,
he's that kind of guy.
I strap him into a chair and say, you're going to sit here and make beast. And you're going to watch me eat a sandwich. No. It would be funny if I did. It was interesting. I know we kind of touched on it or talked about it a lot during the coverage. It seems just to be across the board, generally across the board for the European Open. Everything from I love it was the greatest thing ever, all the way to I hated it was the worst thing ever, and everything in between.
I would say that people were more skewed towards that they didn't like it.
Okay.
I think
you read way more reviews than I did.
I read more. There were people who liked it, and again, for what they put on, they did a great show. I cannot deny that. But people, as we know, people want to see golf.
Yeah.
And people didn't think that they gave them enough golf.
Well, and that's always part of it. Or who are we catering to?
Exactly. But it was better. Would people have liked it, or would there have been more screaming if there was just no coverage? If it was just the TV thing, just maybe the 5 holes on TV, if there was no insider show,
every night.
Then what do you hear?
Yeah.
So I understand people not liking the coverage because they didn't get enough golf. I don't think anyone can say they didn't like the insider show. I'm sure they can. Don't get me wrong. Everyone can say they don't like it, but I liked it. I thought it was good for what they wanted to do, and they nailed what they wanted to do. So, yeah.
A little update here that 100% Conjunto. Am I pronouncing that right? I know we've been over this.
Yeah.
Through his first bogey-free round of -5, went off his personal best at -6 at Wells Branch in Austin, Texas. I hit my 1-year anniversary of playing disc golf on 17th of July. So congratulations, buddy. Thank you. We know you tune in just about every week. So thank you, and more so, congrats on your achievement. Matthew says that Bobby Brown video of Scandinavian Open was super HD, showed half a round of each second and third card that I watched. I think I remember seeing that. I think he released a video that said, this is raw, this is virtually unedited. You're going to get half of the second card, and then I'm going to move over and get half of the third card. There wasn't going to be scoring updates. There wasn't going to be... he was just going...
Is this on Dynamic Discs?
I believe so, because I remember clicking. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I remember seeing the opening where he said that, and I thought, there's another approach. And again, we can't please everyone, but there's another approach of, let's go for timeliness. Let's go for just pure raw. Here it is. Here's what I'm not going to edit every single shot down. I'm not going to worry about color corrections, audio, video, all these other little details. And I'm going to give you as close to raw footage as I can for the sake of timeliness.
Sure.
Because whether it's myself or AJ Risley or Bobby Brown or Marty McFly or Jamie Thomas, you're talking 4 hours of a 4-hour disc golf round is taking anywhere from 4 to 8 hours to edit. Sometimes more if you're really good and professional and you do a super good job. It could be 30 hours of work. But you're talking about at least double the amount of time it took you to film it, double or triple that to put out an edited version. And I was under the impression that he was cutting out a lot of the extras just for the sake of timeliness. Do you see?
I don't see it on the Dynamic Disc website.
Might be on Latitude's website.
Oh yeah, it could be Latitude.
It's probably Latitude's page on YouTube. So that was another interesting approach, and I'm sure it's served people quite well. You can tell by possibly how many views.
No,
maybe.
Someone might.
Second card, Scandinavian. Third card.
Someone might have to point me to it. If maybe Bobby Brown put it.
These two things.
No.
Yeah, he may have split them up into second and third round. I think there's no commentary. There's nothing.
I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how. Yeah, I believe that's exactly it.
720, 60. I think the whole point of him saying that was that it was Super HD, which is the 60 frames per second we've talked about.
Oh, okay. Well, but anyway. And so did he do commentary? I believe the answer was no. I think that's what he's saying in the intro that we're watching. He's just saying there's none of the extras. It's just pretty much raw footage. I agree, Jerome, that Juliana Korver would be an interesting guest. We'd love to have her. Jonny V and I have known her for many, many years. And
she's overseas right now at the WFDF, I think.
The World Flying Disc Federation, World Disc Golf Frisbee International Championship things. Yeah, so she's competing in a number of different events over there. She'd make for a great guest. Obviously, 5-time women's world champ. Pioneered top competitive play for women for a number of years, and is a Hall of Famer. Introduced to the Hall of Fame in 2008 along with Dan Ginley, and she'd make for a phenomenal guest as well. William says, I watched some of the Bobby coverage. It was good. I enjoyed it. I would probably say the same or expect that. And yeah, Latitude 64 page. Editing sucks. I just add special effects to videos. Nice. No commentary, just shots, and it was edited 30 minutes per 9 holes. Yeah, so I mean, that's an interest. I mean,
that's a quick approach. Imagine just taking that. Can't take you very long to edit.
Not anymore. Not if you're a decent film guy yourself and you know exactly what you had.
Yeah.
Man, that would be an interesting test just to go through and put out, cut. I mean, I'll say I remember fighting the idea of doing scores in between holes.
Yeah.
But some people did it, so eventually that became kind of expected. I fighted doing any other kind of. I fight. Wow.
Wow. Yeah, that's not like you.
I fought with the idea of logos in the corners and indicating if somebody had a birdie or a bogey or was OB, all of those types of things. I don't do all of those. Introductions. It's crazy to think your little introduction and saying, "Hi, I'm Jonny V, sponsored by so and so, and I my favorite disc, blah blah blah." Like that 35-second introduction adds 10 minutes of editing.
Yeah, that's all.
And
it's here and there.
So it's kind of interesting. Sean says he putts with a JK AVR, very popular putting disc. Kind of funny side note, since we're always off topic on purpose here in the after show.
There is no topic.
I think Innova was challenged for many years. I think I've heard this. That like the JK, the Valkyrie, as well as the JK AVR, some, I'll say macho men, thought that buying a disc with a woman's name on it, A, wasn't necessarily macho, but B, thought that it somehow was a woman's disc.
It was a woman's disc.
As if there are women's discs.
Which is why they changed it to JK.
Yeah.
Instead of Julian.
I don't know if that's why they changed it. I think that just became because it's the KC AVR.
Yeah.
But
you
don't see a Val Jenkins disc. You don't see a Des Redding disc. And I'm not saying I don't want to open a whole other can of worms because I know there's a lot of arguments there.
This is a can of worms.
But my point is, I know for a while they really struggled with like the JK Valkyrie because people were concerned that and the Valkyrie was literally the furthest flying disc in the world for a while. And people still thought Well, that's a woman's disc.
Stokely fighted the law.
Shut it. And the law lost this time. It's all worth it for the Rico Golden Retriever clip. Yes, which was a little bit of gold that I was glad to capture. And again, I don't need to get on a soapbox about it, but that's part of the fun of this, part of the fun stuff that we love to be able to bring you. Part of the reason why I like knowing these players. I don't know if just Joe Schmo would always be able to get some of this comedic gold we get out of these players, and having a relationship with these players, I think sometimes just goes so far. And I'm glad that we have it and that they're willing to work with us. Some better than others.
Val, by the way, Val should have had her own signature disc.
If you're gonna make that argument, then you should also say Des should.
She should have.
Okay, fair enough. Sylvia Vokes has won 19 worlds.
That's different.
19 worlds.
Different.
Okay, not 19. I'm making that up, but she's won a lot of world championships.
It's different. It's not open.
Okay.
Open women, open men. Not necessarily for one. I mean, Discraft is in a different position, but Cam got one. He won 1 Worlds.
Yeah. Dave Felberg won 1 Worlds. Avery Jenkins won 1 Worlds. He got one.
Yeah. Val won 3.
Uh-huh.
Did she get one?
No, she has a touring.
She has a touring disc, but Brinster has a touring disc.
Yep. Nate Sexton does.
Yeah, Anthon had a touring disc.
Yep.
Now he's touring a
Touring less.
8x10.
He's touring less.
So yeah, by all means, Val should have gotten one. And you can argue it up and down all you want. If you say no, I don't know, I'm not in his position, but I call total BS on that. And maybe maybe she knew that going into whatever contract or agreement she had or what. I don't know. But Juliana got one. 2, actually.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
As far as I know, it was 2. It was
the Valkyrie and the AVR.
The Valk and the JK. Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. I think
Jay Redding has won 0 world championships. Good friend of the show.
Yep.
Good friend of ours. He's won 0 world championships. There's a Yeti. He's won 0.
Oh yeah. There is a Yeti. Is it still produced?
It's the Yeti AVR. Absolutely.
Yeah. He's won a ton of the
He's
putting
won 5
the putting championship.
contested, because I was part of one of those. I was part of a couple of those contested. But anyway, 5 putting or co-putting world championships.
Yeah.
He's won 5 of them. 0 world.
Yeah. 0 sanctioned world wins, and he has a
in stroke play. Let's just clarify. Stroke play 0.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Anyways,
but yeah, and he has one. And I'll say this. Jay is a little more unique just because he does so much with the touring, but Dez is right there with him, which is what
Dez is his better looking half. That's for sure.
Well, yeah, definitely. You could argue that that's the reason Jay got it, because he does go out and do all these clinics and things. But in that case, Dez, when Dez won, they weren't doing this type as much. They were still. I think they were just getting into the Edge program and things like that. I don't know. I mean, I think it's a crock.
Okay.
That they didn't get it, and maybe it's a business.
You
thing.
should call up some people right now. Tell them, speak your mind.
It's not going to make any difference.
No, and I know.
And maybe it is a thing. Maybe they know that. Oh gosh, when we put Juliana's name on it, we didn't sell anything. So we're going to put Val's name on this disc, and she's not. They're not going to sell because it's a Val Jenkins
Starfire.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think Starfires sell extremely well in general right now, but
says you.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know, but I don't think they do. I mean, because people are always looking for the faster. Starfire's only a speed 9. I want my 12. So the Destroyers, the big arm discs, basically.
Sure.
But still, especially now when we're seeing, I won't even say a resurgence, a surge of women's dedicated leagues and play and highlighting, something like that could go very far. And I don't know if any Prodigy player has their own. They all have their own signature kind of series. I think it's more of a fundraising thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that. But I was
They're-
going to say
I'd-
Paige.
I will say they're a little loose.
Cat.
In a different way, they're a little looser with what they're giving the
Correct.
players. They had, like you
Exactly.
said,
It's
like
a different-
a run of Signature Series discs, which are a little looser by definition, as opposed to like a model that carries with them all the time, as Innova has done. And look at, David Wiggins had his name on the Blizzard Boss when he set the world record. They wiped that right off, that stamp right off, and Lizotte, Lizotte's name is now on the Boss.
I've got no problem with that. That's a feat that is very difficult. Not that World Championships aren't very difficult to hit. If you get a special disc like that for breaking a world record, I have no personal issue with it. And again, we've said it before, we don't run Innova, but I just think it's you don't want to give a player a disc after winning one Worlds, fine, but be consistent about it.
Well, that's just it though. Is the criticism came in, and I remember this argument circulating. I mean, this is not a new argument. It just probably hasn't been talked about in a few years. The push for Des to have it. I mean, okay, she didn't get it after 1, and then she didn't get it after 2, and then she still didn't get it after 3. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was a significant, conversation being had. That was, 2005, 2006 time frame. That was a pretty serious conversation to be had, and we had different internet chat boards that we argued about it on. It was at that time PDGA.com's forum, and it was argued extensively. And I think to this day, they would very politely probably decline to discuss it in too much length, Jay and Des.
Oh, sure.
Because it is probably a little bit of
a slightly touchy subject.
Yeah, and but
I mean, I'll say this: at least Innova's consistent. They didn't give it to Val either, and maybe that was part like, oh, we didn't,
Yeah, no, I know there was all of that conversation.
Elaine didn't get one.
Well, Elaine plays for Discraft, so that's why
right.
it'd be weird if they gave her.
That's true.
That would be a kick in the.
I was just thinking like who was before Juliana.
Yeah, but Juliana did have 2.
Juliana had 2, and she won how many?
She won 5 worlds, but that wasn't with Innova.
Correct. She won a few with Discraft.
Yeah. Man, what an awkward conversation. No, okay, maybe not.
Well, she had a Discraft disc too.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
Maybe even more than one.
I don't know
but again,
sure.
We've seen the landscape of discs change, and now the fact that there's these touring discs on Innova side, and you go to Latitude, and they have Ricky Wysocki discs, and they have a Dave Felberg disc, and DD has clearly done special things with Eric McCabe now for a number of years. So what it used to mean to have your name on a disc, and whether or not you were getting royalties and how much royalties for those discs versus what it means today, it's all very different. And speaking to like a Barry Schultz, he has his name on the Beast and a Leopard.
Yep.
Those were 2 of the hottest discs in 2003, 2004, when he was winning Worlds. The Beast and the Leopard, albeit might be great discs still to this day, a Beast and Leopard, I'm guessing, aren't outselling some of Innova's latest models.
Oh God, no.
So whatever that might be. And so there's an interesting argument, and should they be up to the times?
There's always the talk like, okay, if Macbeth wins, what's his next disc going to be? What if Des wins? Not likely, but what if she does?
Wow.
She's not at the level the other girls are at right
okay.
now. You can see it in the scores.
Fair enough.
I think she would even go as far as to say that, probably.
Okay. If she wins and she wanted to claim the...
this would be 4 world championships for her.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. It's hard to say.
She wanted to claim a particular disc.
Would she get one? And then if she did,
could there be a? I'm just gonna throw out a Des Redding Roadrunner.
Sure. But then, is there hard feelings? I mean, I don't think Val's pretty easygoing. But does Val get bitter that do I need to win another one now to or even if Val wins one, does she?
Now she gets one on her 4th. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
maybe 4 is their magic number.
No,
and they're just not telling them that.
Well, for the women, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know. All we can do is speculate.
Kenny got his own line of. I mean, he deserved it. His own line of plastic.
Yes.
Not just a name on a disc. He got his own plastic.
Exactly. He was in a playoff with Avery Jenkins. People forget that. I certainly do not forget that, Wade. The Josh Anthon in the playoff at Kansas City. It was certainly epic.
It was pretty epic. And Yeah, and I haven't been following up with the Anton thing.
I know
what
that he has a 4-month-old son and his wife, who he's married recently, was going to be visiting him and some of the other family members. Sounds like everything's on the up and up. I kind of check in with her every once in a while, and sounds like it is where it is right now, and it's going to be that way for a little while longer, and no one's really certain as to how long things are going to last in what he has going on. So
Yeah.
it could be another 6 months. It could be another 4 years. No one knows for certain. I'm
Sure.
not even sure they know, but it sounds like things are on the up and up for him as best as they can be. So, which is good to see. All right, KC Plastic. We've talked. Yeah, there's definitely video. I have a question. Anyone know what the PDJ disc is this year? I just got mine in the mail yesterday, and it's an MVP driver, but I don't know which one. If you look on the back, I'm just guessing. If you look on the back, and usually I think around the rim of theirs, more often than not, you can see what the actual mold is. I'm not sure. I'm personally not sure. I'll say this. I think the PDJ has intentionally rotates through various companies now year after year. For many years, it was an Innova disc of some sort. And then
mine's like a 150
I know it's
rock.
been a Discraft. I know it was a Discraft Storm for a few years.
Yep.
I believe it was a Stalker for a few years by Discraft. Like you said, yours was a Rock at the time. Mine,
Yeah, Paige Pierce got a Stalker
uh,
as the disc. It was the Paige Pierce Stalker. It was kind of weird, but
well, not really. It
It's
was
just
one
a-
of their discs, and
I
this
know.
is one they gave her,
no, I know it was just
and one that she threw.
I know, but it's a weird thing to say. The Paige Pierce Stalker.
And
Normally
if-
that's you.
If anybody needs any of those, I have a large surplus. As
But
she switched companies, I made sure to stock up.
Yeah, I'm
A
just,
lot of 'em.
I'm just saying, and someone had brought up if Paige wins Worlds, do they do a special 3-time disc? Who knows? Probably,
I mean,
because Prodigy is a different beast than Innova.
yeah, and
It's a
they
different,
two totally different
it's business models.
model in terms of what they give and how they give it, and what it even means to the players. I don't even know.
Yeah, and Durko MD AVR is right. It's not Macbeth plastic like it was KC plastic. And,
Sure.
And again, I'm not faulting Innova for giving Kenny his own plastic. Kenny owned all plastic back in the day.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Macbeth doesn't have his own plastic. Maybe if Innova comes out with some, I mean, they have the G Star, so I suppose you could rename that maybe, but it's kind of late to the
McBee Star.
McBee Star or Macbeth Star plastic or something weird. It's
Yeah.
Macbeth Star. It's tackier, like Paul. Doesn't have the same ring to it.
No.
So, yeah.
The inertia is what was discussed as possibly being. I mean, I'll say this: the disc they should be handing out, as if someone is saying that it's flippy, the disc they should be handing out to any PDJ member is something relatively, if not completely, understable.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a new PDJ member, which you are, well, you shouldn't be handing somebody something remotely stable. Why would you do that?
No, I agree.
Okay.
I always think it should be a putter or a mid-range.
Okay, well, whatever.
Or an understable driver.
It certainly shouldn't be a Discraft drone. That's a mid-range.
Fine.
That's
How
a complete.
How about the zone?
No, still a meat hook. A Discraft Comet, I'll get on board with.
Sure.
But not a drone, for instance. If we're going mid-ranges, nothing. It has gyro on it. Yeah. So I'm sorry. It sounds like it maybe the inertia. Something that should be beginner friendly is what I totally agree with. Wouldn't a McPro Rock be Macbeth's plastic? Yeah. No. It's just they call it McPro because it's really KC Pro plastic. It's just easy to throw Mick in front of everything.
Yeah.
As a marketing, situation. It may be a tad stiffer or a tad softer. Like his Mick Pro AVRs are a tad stiffer, I think that you'll find, and his Mick Pro Rock 3s are a tad stiffer. But for the most part, it's a play off of the Pro plastic, their Pro line plastic.
Yep.
And again, we're splitting hairs as to if he needs a plastic.
No. I
line.
don't. I never said he did.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying he doesn't. He's got 3 in a row, and
yeah, and pretty crazy.
it's
Pretty crazy because he has the Paul Macbeth crate. No. What disc, if you won World, what disc should I pick if I win Worlds? Let's say I have an open sponsor. I win Worlds this year in a couple weeks. World starts on my birthday, by the way, August 4th. Let's say at the end of that
I already know the answer.
amazing birthday week, and just I got this open letter from all sponsors. It says, "Hey, from all of us manufacturers, from all of us manufacturers to you, what disc should I pick?"
Easy.
And let me ask you, follow that up though. Am I picking it because of what I throw, or am I picking it because it's going to be the most profitable?
Depends what you want. Like if they just said, "Hey Terry, we're gonna put your name on a disc. We're not giving you squat for it, but I think it'd be kind of cool to put your name on a disc."
Okay.
That's easy. I think they do a special run of Ontario Rocks for you.
Okay. That would be Innova. Okay.
Yep. Or maybe Wraith. Maybe. But
okay.
I think Ontario, you're known for your Ontarios. Like,
Sure.
You hunt them down.
Now, you're not in the disc selling industry
I'm not.
nearly as much, and I'm even
and those-
slightly removed from it.
And I don't think Ontarios are selling like hotcakes.
No.
Now, if you wanted, wow, I don't even know what's selling. I would think maybe
A Blizzard Boss? I mean, it's the world distance. Okay.
no.
No?
You're not known for distance.
Well, no.
and it's not
I
a
mean, who
hot
cares
selling
if I'm
disc.
known for it? I'm saying, what if we're talking about it being a
If we're
hot
ta-
seller?
It's not a hot seller.
That's what you think.
I don't think it is.
Okay.
I don't see anybody like screaming for Blizzard Plastic at all right now.
But who do you hang out with?
Morons, but
No, you hang out with tournament level golfers.
agreed.
Which aren't Joe Schmoes who aren't at Dick's Sporting Goods saying, "Oh my God, this thing was thrown 863 feet." I need one of
at
those.
Sports Authority today, and I saw a
Okay.
whole rack of plastic. But
Okay.
I mean, for you, maybe a stalker would be good. No, I'm trying to think of what would even. I know the MVP plastic seems to be real popular right now.
Okay. In certain circles,
In
I'm
certain
sure.
circles, yeah.
Or double circles. Hey, because of the gyro. Yeah, see, this is a dumb question for you because you don't know what the hottest disc.
I don't,
And I'm not saying I do.
yeah.
I'm just saying, like I have a better idea than you. But
Oh yeah, you have a slightly better idea than me.
yeah, it would be interesting. So some of the suggestions on the board, maybe we should have just sent it out to them, would have included the Discraft Heat, the Mamba, Terry's Heat, the Westside Bard renamed to the Disc Golf Bard guy, and Blizzard Plastic is awesome. So Dan Harbeck, Smashy, says Macbeth is going to set an all-time high in tournament cash. I'm saying over 80,000, not including his bonuses, demos, signings. I think so 7,500 at Scandinavia. Does that ring a bell?
Yes, that's
And
exactly right.
Okay. What was his amount at the European Open?
25 or 3,500.
Okay.
Yeah, because that was what spurred the big UC conversation.
Sure. How about 4,480?
Was it that much?
Yeah, that's.
Okay.
I mean, that's substantial.
Yeah, that is. But I mean, that was the big thing. Like, oh, how come we only made 4,400? And this is a more prestigious event with more this and that, as opposed to whatever. But
okay, so
that was what spurred.
So 4,480. We're just gonna call it.
So click on his name once.
We're gonna call it 4,500. Okay, so we add 4,500 to 7,500. That's 12. Yeah, that's $12,000 on top of his 36. So he's at 48,000.
And what's the record? Did you get? You already
I don't know. Somebody earlier in the
Nico?
broadcast said something about 50 something. Clearly, he's eclipsing it. Yeah.
Yep.
So let's just round it for just rounding's sake. We're gonna say he's at 50 in earnings this year, right now. Dan thinks he's gonna make another 30, which is a pretty big feat because, again, we're just gonna play pretend and say he wins Worlds. We're gonna say he wins it, and let's just say it's $6,000. Let's just play pretend and say he wins Ledgestone for 7,700. We're gonna call that $8,000 for kicks. So he's at 14. He wins a Hall of Fame Classic for another 2 or 3. He's at 17, and he wins.
Ledgestone.
I already included that.
And
then USDGC, which he's not currently pre-registered for. The USDGC, let's just again throw it out there. What did I just say? 17, and
I hope they save him a spot.
PDGA Worlds, Ledgestone. Let's call it 7, 7, and 3. Yeah, that's 17. And then let's say he wins Worlds for 10. That's 27. That brings him to 77 on the year. If he wins every one of those events I just mentioned.
Hardback keeps saying he's over 50 right now.
Then they're just missing an event or two online. Because his online says 35.9 plus
as of Maple Hill.
Yeah, and then from Maple Hill he went right to Scandinavia.
Yep.
And won 7,500. And then won 4,500.
Now maybe they don't count leagues in there.
So that's 12 grand.
Sure.
Excuse me. Whatever. 12 plus is 36. I'm calling it 48. You call it 50. I don't care. Like I said, I mean, so if he wins out of all of the biggest events, I mean.
So Matthew Simpson has some good stats for us.
I'd like to know where he gets these from, but okay.
From Infinite Discs website, apparently. The top.
Well, that's what they sell, but go on.
Agreed. It looks like they sell different. But anyway, he's saying that the top 4 drivers from their website are the Destroyer, the Boss, the Valkyrie, and the Turn.
Okay.
That the top 4 mid-ranges are the Discraft Buzz, the Rock 3, the DD Truth, and the Mako 3.
Okay, I'd buy that.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think. It's just kind of funny because the Rock is so hard to judge because there's so many different versions now.
Like 19.
There's 19 different versions of a Rock, so the Rock is probably if you count all.
I think
the
there's
rocks.
a Rock 19 now.
But then again, and he says Discraft Buzz.
There's also
a couple.
There's 16 different versions of the Discraft Buzz now.
You get the SS and the OS. You have at least,
sure.
and the Wasp tool and whatever. So I don't know. I would probably go. I'd like to put mine on a Buzz.
So I'd be more impressed, and we're never going to know unless Matthew runs Infinite Disc. I'd be only impressed with those stats. I mean, they give a snapshot, but I'd be more convinced of those if I knew Infinite Disc was selling 10,000 discs a month.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That's a snapshot.
Yeah, he says there's no Innova in the top 5 putters right now. Which
the Judge, the Focus, the Wizard. I guess I could see that.
I could totally see that. I just bought 2 Judges, and they're okay. They're great. I'll say this. They're great throwing plastic. They're great throwing putters.
Judges need thrown in the ocean.
I don't know about that.
To fight off the Innova sharks that are attacking that guy?
Maybe. No, I like my Judge for throwing, but it's a little too stable for me for putting. I just bought one because I was sick of my putters at Silver Cup.
Definitely the problem.
No, all my putters are kind of beat now.
Oh.
So, and I didn't. It's funny because I went to dig through my collection of magnets, and I've got a bunch of old 4-chain magnets, but they're all used and they're all kind of beat. I don't have any new magnets, so I decided I wanted something newer and more stable, and I just wandered over to one of the tables and grabbed 2 Judges and ran. Just kidding.
Good idea.
No. Sean, throw them in the ocean. No, like I said, they worked great for throwing. I didn't like putting with them though. I need something a little less stable. Oh God, the Rhino. That's like a meat hook. Our good friend Scotty.
Yeah. Quick shout out. Happy birthday to my wife. I'm going to be home this year on her birthday, which doesn't usually happen.
Nice.
Yeah. So there's that. I think I may skip my disc golf league on Wednesday night, and may see some of my kids. See 2 of the 2 kids I have. Watch them play soccer and do some other stuff. But yes, shout out as it is her birthday today. She's officially as old as you, and older than me for the next 2 weeks.
I'll say 2 more weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Birdie Bash, covered that. Wow, I don't think
What day does your birthday fall on this year?
Tuesday.
Oh, podcast night.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I was curious.
Yeah, it's the first night of Worlds.
Oh, so we maybe we'll do a podcast that night.
Yeah, maybe not. But yeah, it is the first night of Pro Worlds, or first day, obviously, of Pro Worlds. It'll be interesting to see as our competitors get better, and as the technology gets better, and the kids just keep getting better, younger. It'll be interesting to see just how Worlds, of course, shakes out. I believe Adam Hames, a Wisconsin fella who's very young, is leading one of the divisions. He shot 2 pretty phenomenal rounds. I saw him posted on Facebook. man, he's probably playing juniors, even though he's rated like 960, 980 or something crazy like that. Super competitive. Won in the advanced division in our sizable A tier a few weeks ago. And I was going to take a look and see where he was, because I know he said he had a good opening day. He did play 2 rounds, which makes me think he wasn't playing in the advanced division.
No, he could have been playing.
Or maybe he did.
He was playing in the C pool probably, because I looked. If you look at if you sort it by 2 par, Chase Richards is in the lead technically at 13 under par.
Okay,
because he played 2 rounds and is 13 under. Now, granted, if you look at his round ratings, a 954 and a 999, as opposed to the A pool one, who's a 1040 rated round.
Okay.
So, and you said who was it?
I found him. He's in junior boys. He's leading junior boys under 16. Okay. He shot
he's leading handily right now.
Yeah, he's up by 7 after day 1. That's not a good start for the rest of the field, especially when he's rated 970. So it's not like, he probably went out and fluked around out there.
No.
Let me find where it went now. Oops.
Wow. Matthew Simpson. I'd love to know where is that. I wonder if that's just on their website, all that information as far as the most popular. I haven't looked. He says the most popular putters are the Wizard, the Judge, the MVP Axiom, and the Discraft Zone.
Huh.
No, I'm sorry. The MVP Atom, the Axiom Envy, and the Discraft Zone are the top 5 putters right now being sold.
Adam in junior boys under 16 from northern Wisconsin shot a 981 rated round, just 2 points higher than his rating at 979. Shot a 981 rated round and then shot a 1015 rated round. So he averaged on the day like 990-ish, 992-ish golf.
So odds are he's going to crush the field.
I mean, you're rated 980, you jump out to a 7-stroke lead. It's going to be really hard to catch you if you even if he played out his rating the rest of the week, he's got an advantage over the entire field. So for juniors under 16, I'm going to prematurely call Adam Hames your junior world champ. Sorry, guys. I've met Kaylee Campbell, super nice girl. I also met Alexis last year. I'm sure they're going to be battling it out.
Where's our Cookie Putter? Where's Cookie Putter?
I'm going to search by Cookie Putter.
Didn't pop up.
Couldn't find her. She should be one of
like 2 or 3 girls in that division.
Yeah, the single youngest. And I believe her dad reached out to me recently. And I'm going to see if we can find.
Yeah,
Prodigy.
Everybody wants to know where the Cookie Putter is.
That's a good call.
Is it Emily Jean Bamberry?
I'm not positive if that rings a bell. I just met her and referred to her as Cookie Putter
last year.
Yeah,
we just called her Cookie Putter.
So I'm going to take a quick look and see if I can find. Because I think her dad had sent one of my accounts a message, and that would help me be able to track her down.
Yeah, look up for last names in your messages. Because I would assume it's that. And I never met her. I just saw her, or maybe Maggie Klotfelder.
No, Maggie, I think, was the girl we met this weekend. That played in the Birdie Bash. I believe that was Maggie, who was just super adorable.
I know it wasn't Hope. That wasn't her name. Bet you it's Emily Jean Bamberry.
Sorry, we're doing our research here.
Yep. Did you search for Bamberry? All right. Anyway.
Yeah.
We'll catch up with if we're there on Friday or Saturday. We'll hope to catch up with them. So.
And if you do see us this weekend, one or both of us, please make sure you come up and say hi, introduce yourself. I did give away about a bunch of hashtag Big Hug stickers from SmashBoxx last weekend. Everybody seemed to really like those, so that was pretty cool. Hopefully everybody puts them in appropriate places. Yes, Justin Bamberry is her dad, so it must be Emily Jean, you said?
Emily Jean Bamberry, yeah.
He wrote to me and said that his daughter Emily, otherwise known as Cookie Putter, will be excited to be in Kalamazoo. On the FJ side, there are 5 girls in the under 10 division compared to 0 in the FJ4 division last year. We are hoping that you will cover some of the competition and maybe even give you a chance to give an update. So,
well, she's already starting out a little slow. She shot below her rating.
Oh.
She's a 9. She's a
9.
416 rated player. She shot a 403 rated round.
Just
missed it by a stroke or two.
Yeah, that's awesome. So hopefully we can catch up with Cookie Putter.
I wonder if anyone else calls her that.
I bet you some other people must.
Like some locals.
Somebody
maybe.
has to.
Because there's a bunch of Smashies that call her that. And we call her that.
Wow, and Maggie shooting lights out. Maggie's rated 351.
Yeah.
I think probably the single lowest rated contender at Worlds, rated 351. I wish I played 131 points above my rating, as she did today.
If I played 131 points above my rating consistently,
You'd be better than Paul Macbeth.
I would be contending for the championship.
Yeah. So
barely.
congrats, Maggie, with your huge start against your rating. Again, rated 351. You busted out a 482 rating rated round today. Let's see if there's any other notable huge surprises in terms of ratings. Lydia Lyons, who won the Birdie Bash.
Yep.
So she was there. She shot, she's rated 559. She shot a 609, rated 99 to open up the tournament. Let's see who else we have out here.
This is
Wow.
not compelling content.
Okay, so this is just, this is certainly, okay. Totally confused by the way that was sorted. As we said, Adam just tearing up junior boys. I did have a quick conversation with Josteen, who had originally talked me into coming. He twisted my arm to come over to Norway last year. He is here, and he's with Yvind Yarns, who's a 980 rated junior boy.
Wow.
And he's... Wow. He opened... How would you like this? He opened with a 1,001 rated round and then a 978, and he's still down 7 strokes on the day. Because Mark Burnett, as mentioned here on our board, opened with a 1040 and a 1,006 rated round.
Wow. That's the type of division though that could swing, I bet.
It could.
You could see.
Yeah, I mean, he's
Mark
rated
come out-
960.
Yeah, you could see Mark come out and shoot a 970 and then Osteen shoot something.
Yeah, I mean, Mark shot 1023 rated golf on the day, and when he's rated 960, that's not something you typically can.
Correct.
Just the laws of averages and your rating tell you you're probably not going to sustain quite that high of play. He may ride that out, but pretty awesome that he opened that strong.
Matt Simpson says, name one hole you truly dislike and why.
I'm going to talk a little bit about probably 18 at the European Open with those hate.
I was thinking,
Wow, one hole. I mean, you almost have to think of a course. Well, I mean, you don't have to. I mean, we could talk about our hole at our local course and why we hate it, but I would like to think of a hole that maybe is a little bit more notable to people or recognizable.
there was, and I forget which number. Maybe it was hole number 2 at Nakamixon. I want to say.
No, you didn't dislike 2. 2 was a fine hole.
Okay. Well, it's 2. Oh, you're right. No, you're right.
Hole 2 would have been fine.
Yeah.
Hole 1 was a beast.
Yeah. No, I don't mind if it's a beast of a hole. I don't.
Yeah, no, I know.
I'm not a big fan at Rolling Ridge of the pyramid hole because everyone knows my feelings on the elevated baskets
yep.
when they're elevated that high.
Can you think of anything after you've seen
But-
the coverage of, say, like Masters Cup of, a particular hole, like out there, for instance, or
I'll say
the Emporia at Glassblown?
I didn't see any at Glassblown, but at Dela, the kitchen sink hole, not a fan. I'm not a big fan of it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't look. It looks like these guys just throw into the trees and hope to get lucky.
Yeah, there's an area you throw to.
Yeah, there's an area you throw
and you
to.
hope it works.
You see some of the guys go out wide left, but DGN nailed it. Yeah. There are holes that I would like to see around our state. We talked about after playing Manitowoc that I'd like to see changed or improved because I don't like them. But the hole themselves, I mean, the design of them and whatnot is fine. But
okay, so think of again other holes you're at least slightly familiar with. Anything out at
I'm
like
trying to think.
The Memorial, like anything out at a Vista, anything out at the Temp course this year, or the newer course, I should say.
I don't know the Temp course that well. I mean, I know it was played, but I saw it
because you saw it through our eyes.
But I saw it through your eyes. But knowing the other two courses really well, no, Vista, I like pretty much all the shots there.
Sure.
There's nothing that sticks out as stupid. And Fountain, same thing. It's just there's.
I mean, you may not love them all, but there's nothing that jumps out at you that you
I
actually
really
hate.
dislike.
Yeah, that's a great question. As to holes that you dislike.
I'll say it right now. Hole 17 at Rolling Ridge.
Yeah, that's
a dumb hole.
Sorry, that's one of the dumbest holes I've ever seen. I agree.
For those of you that don't know Rolling Ridge, it's about it probably goes 420.
The overall hole's longer than that. It's got to be 480,
480,
maybe 500 total.
The first 200 feet of that hole are perfectly fine. It's tight, but there's an alley for a righty. It's a righty hyzer, and we're talking tight as in 8 feet. For about 200 feet, you have to hit, and then after that, you usually land hyzer down into what they call a landing zone, where it's just random trees for the next 150 feet. There, you could argue that there's a lane somewhere, depending on how far you go, left or right. But to hit that landing zone in the right spot is virtually impossible. You can't lay up to a spot. You can't aim for you hope to hit a spot where there might be a lane, and then you go uphill the last 150 feet, slightly uphill last 100 to 150 feet. To a green. I just think it's a bad hole. The whole last half of that hole is bad. That's a hole I look at and I just think this is stupid. There's not many on that course that I'll say it's stupid, but that particular hole, no elevated basket, just a bad fairway.
Surprisingly, and I have a hard time believing this. It says that hole's only 400 feet, but I don't. Then again, I don't know to which tee from.
Yeah, who knows what tee to what.
Yeah, see, that's just it. Is I don't know what these exactly mean because there's 2 or 3 tees on every hole, and now there's 3 permanent baskets on every hole.
Correct.
So I'm looking at the black basket, and it says 400 or black tee, one of the two. It says 400, but I think I know that it's definitely longer than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd agree. That's a really not great hole. I'll say that. Man, I don't know if there's any holes that. There's a few holes out there that I get really frustrated with. Not just because
they're frustrated because they're tough.
No, yeah, and I mean, there's a few holes that I just think are not designed well that I like, but people could argue with me all day about how much they love it.
Is it 13? The one that's down the gut to the Anheuser to the right?
No, that's 14.
14. Okay.
I think it's 14. Oh, no, you might be right. 13.
Yeah, because I think 13 and 4 are parallel with each other. 4 is the pyramid hole. I think that's 13. Or it's 12. I don't know.
No, it's not 12.
Okay, anyway, I think 13, I really like the tee shot, hitting that gap with a little turnover. But where the basket is off to the right, I don't feel there's a good lane there.
See, and that one I totally disagree with. I think that's actually, I think, a perfectly fine hole. I
just think that it gets a little pokey. There's not a defined fairway. Like you land off to the right, and you're probably gonna find a lane maybe, but not the big. It's not the worst hole out there. I dislike that one less. They just like 17. I think 17's bad, and 18 out there I think could go to lose some trees in the fairway.
Well, and I've said this,
but you can't put trees back.
Well, no, and I'd say about 18. The funny part about 18 is on that course. And I'm sorry we're rambling because you're going to see all of this in my video blog very soon.
Yep.
18, I said you could literally cut down every tree in that fairway, and the hole would actually still be phenomenal. Honestly, that piped tunnel shot with the with the island on the far left, is kind of, before the basket, the pond, like that would be still a really good hole if they took out because the fairway's still only 30 feet wide.
It's wider than that.
Okay, maybe 40. It's not that wide. I mean, especially, in the initial opening, then it widens. But anyway, I think you could take out every tree on that hole almost, and it would still be a really good hole. Like, to speak to like
correct,
being 600 feet kind of tunnelish.
Oh, for sure.
With OB water in it.
Thank you, Luke. I agree with you. Hole 2 at Brown Deer in the far right, new basket placement where the old practice basket.
I haven't seen that. I hear that's dumb.
I don't like that shot. I think your landing zone is too small for the approach that you have, and then they took a hole that I think used to have a decent scoring spread where some people could get 2s on it, you could get a 4 or even a 5 maybe.
Sure.
And you turn it into a hole that everyone now has to kind of pitch up, then pitch over and drop in. Like, I don't like that particular change.
Jesse Papermaster. Wow, now all of a sudden people chime in and we're talking about various holes, especially our locals. Jesse,
you got a 2 on that, dude?
Several times.
So then you either threw some forehand skip shot, might be able to get down that gap, or
because you skipped off the money you owe me, so pay up. Matthew Simpson says, would you rather have a course with multiple tees and baskets on each hole, or a course with short and long pads and one basket with 2 or more possible locations but only one spot at a time?
What?
Yeah, basically he's saying, would you rather have Dretzka or would you rather have Rolling Ridge in terms of baskets and placements?
Oh, because Rolling Ridge has like
all these extra baskets in.
I think Rolling Ridge, it just gives you more variety all the time. You can go out and shoot any course you want any given time. I go to Dretzka and I might be like, oh God, they got all these in the long right now. Like,
all these in the short.
Or all these in the short. I didn't feel like playing that. I mean, I think Rolling Ridge is the better method that way.
Less crossover. Yeah, and again, I look at it through slightly skewed glasses or, tinted frames here. I like, as a promoter and as a guy who goes to parks departments and who goes into city councils and has to answer questions, sometimes tough questions, I like the ones that are going to provide the least amount of erosion and wear and tear on a course. You go to some courses that get played to one spot all the time, or only the long tees are played, or only the shorts usually are played at a lot of courses, and then you see these traffic and these wear patterns. I think when there's more basket options, and especially if the tees really provide 2 different challenges, I think you're going to make for a more well-rounded course, and one that maybe gets played a little bit more evenly. It's tough when the long tees are just that longer, and that's all that it adds, because that means when you play the short or the longs, you're still walking the exact same fairway all the time. So that part of the fairways, I think to Madison, I think of like Elver or Token Creek. It's just one example of many. But Token Creek, not Token Creek, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of High Stand in particular. A lot of those tees are just simply longer.
Yeah.
They're just backed up. So you're walking, and whether they change the shot or not, but you're also still always walking the exact same spot on the fairways.
You're burning a hole in the fairway or something.
But something I'm going to start up as a huge rant someday.
Yeah.
Is Avery Jenkins, and sometimes I think Paul Macbeth, and sometimes others, lots of our top pros, kicking the dirt in front of the tee, kicking up the grass to get to the dirt to rub their hands on it.
Oh yeah.
I hate it.
No, you hate it in front of the tee, or would it be okay behind the tee?
I hate it less behind the tee. It's still erosion. You're still wrecking the course.
Yeah.
But I hate it in front of the tee, especially because that's easily more eroded.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And don't tell me after doing it hundreds of times, or you starting a trend and now you watch a bunch of little of your followers do it. Mm-hmm. People do this all the time. I wish and I'm going to put it in a video one of these days. But people that go up and they're looking for dirt, they pat their hand on, and they go find a spot and they kick to get past the grass and then kick into the dirt or the sand or whatever's there and then rub their hand on it. And I love Avery Jenkins, but I'm going to call you out. Avery, you're probably the most notorious in terms of frequency of doing it. You're the person I see doing it the most, and it drives me crazy every time I see him do it.
Yeah.
Every time, because I always think you're partially like and almost artificially like adding to the erosion of this course.
Yeah.
And you're here for a weekend, so you don't care if it doesn't look right.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he cares.
Well,
he just doesn't think about it.
He probably does, but
it's probably nothing he's ever thought about. He's just looking to get dirt. Now, if your hand needs to be that dry, carry a birdie bag or something.
And I know he carries them, and different players carry them. Then use it, because I'm gonna make a video. I've thought about this for years, but I'm gonna make a video out of it because I hate watching people do it. And if I didn't design courses or have to talk to Parks Department, maybe it probably would have never crossed my mind.
No,
but I'm always
I've
thinking.
heard you talk about this particularly before.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't bother me until I see it, but I'm sure you had pointed it out. And
yeah, they go to a spot and they just kick the toe of their shoe into the ground, and usually it requires 1 or 2 kicks.
Yeah, because
they got to get the grass out of the way
kick the grass
to get
out.
to some dirt. And
it's bad either way. At most courses, the front of the tee pad has been eroded already. So they go up and rub their hand. But when it's not, they're And a new trend what we're seeing is tee pads that are extra long with a line, a foul line in some places that you can. At least that's what's happening here in Wisconsin. We've seen a lot of it for some of the longer holes. Rolling Ridge has it for a lot of shots. Zobel has it. So
yeah. We'll see if that does or doesn't continue, because people, again, it's supposed to be for a line and a walk-off area, but I think a lot of people screw it up and just want to run to the end of to where it is. It says, how would you approach tee signs for a course with multiple pin locations? How can you let people know what they're in? The best way that I've seen do it, I've seen a couple ways. The most common way I think you see is you got your, we'll just call it an 8x10 sheet of metal, that's your tee sign, and then there's pre-drilled holes, and then somebody takes some kind of a nut and a bolt, and then if there's pin locations A, B, and C, you can just very hand tighten and put the nut and the bolt onto that spot. That's the most common way I see it.
Don't make it a fancy nut and bolt because it'll get stolen.
Exactly. But one of the other really cool ways that I see happening, and this, I think of Tyler State Park, which is one of my favorite courses in the world, and I saw it on another course not too long ago as well, where they have almost like a dial on the bottom of the so if you have a 4x4 post in the ground, they've got the T sign that might say A, B, and C, and they say, oh, it's 600 feet, 400 feet, 200 feet, and then at the bottom there's almost it's a dial, and it may point, and then they have A, B, and C listed on the post, and then it gets turned to which position it's in. I've taken a few photos of these. I think that's a really great way to do it. Now, of course, you could be that jerk that
change it.
I see it's in C. I'll be funny and move it to B. After I'm done playing it, and then walk off. Of course, that's always possible. I just feel like that's one of the easiest things to adjust or to fix. You lose a nut, you lose a bolt. Like, everybody's always got to be carrying one. Here, if some guy screws with that, short of breaking it, if somebody screws with it, you're literally just turning it back to where it was.
Correct.
And that could be like a little block of wood arrow with something drilled into it. That would be one way to do it as well. So,
yeah, Steven, that's kind of what we're talking about, the extra 2 feet of concrete. It's not any different color. It's just an extra long tee pad. I take it back. It's like they poured another, or they pulled a line in the concrete itself while it was wet to mark where the foul is, so you don't step over. So, yeah, that's kind of what and that's really for only some of the longer shots. Not on some of the shorter throws. I mean, there's no point, hopefully, on some of the shorter throws.
Holes in the T sign and nut and bolt. That's what we're talking about. Have you guys seen the Oregon course? Yeah, you just talked about that. Terry, if there's no motivation to update the course, do you think it is wrong for someone else to take over and get the course updated? Would that be insulting? I'll speak from personal experience. I'm listed as a course pro in a number of courses. In fact, someone just yesterday sent me an email and said, hey, the maps suck or something or other doesn't, at this course, blah, blah, blah. I'm listed as the course contact. I don't really necessarily live super close to that place. I don't frequent there. I haven't been there in many years. It's a super short and easy beginner style course. I just happen to help with the design. And I immediately, in that case, was able to go to the parks guy, who I know now has taken more ownership of it. And I just emailed him and said, hey, here's this guy's concern. I just thought I'd pass it along. And so although I might be the course contact, I wasn't insulted. Or if this guy said, had come to me in a slightly different tone and said, hey, I'd like to do this, this, and this with the course. If I'm truly not involved with it,
Sure,
I'd be an idiot to,
of
block
course.
him from doing that.
Of
So,
course.
now if you're going to go in there and want to totally, some guy puts in a course last year and then you show up because you just moved to town or you think you know more, I mean, it's like everything else. It's how you go about it. But if somebody's not showing interest in it, you might be the fresh new blood that course needs. And that is cyclical. I think that happens quite a bit. So if you can politely go about it, I would suggest doing it. Flip Cities, T-Pads, good night. Thanks, Wade, for joining us. Timber Ridge to spot discs all day. I applaud you. We applaud you. Thank you.
Bring an umbrella.
Yeah, going out and spotting discs for pros or amateurs is a tiresome and usually somewhat thankless
A lot
job.
of times, I try to thank them every time I see them because they're usually looking for mine.
I've seen a few others as well. I can't recall where. Where's a good way to raise money for new tee signs for a course? I'd say go to anyone that you guys maybe utilize or frequent within the course. And by that, I mean, do you guys typically go to a bar after leagues or to any other restaurant? Do you go to your local BW3s after leagues every Tuesday night? Do you go to, Joe's hole-in-the-wall bar? I mean, if you guys are going there and spending money, it seems like, they should be able to support you in where you just came from. So those are good ways to raise tee signs for a course. I mean, think of people that might gain value. Maple Hill does it really well on like hole 16 or 17. They have a pizza sponsor. It's a local pizza shop and sub shop that says, order your pizza now so that by the time you walk off of hole 18, the pizza will be ready either to get picked up or delivered there. So look into places like that that might be interested. Do you have a local gentleman that's a dentist, and for every disc golfer that comes in and mentions the tee sign, they get 10% off or something crazy like that. Like those are all different ways. Think of people that could possibly benefit from it.
I didn't know Mike Cousins was going to the Am World's Fly Mart.
Yep. He's heading to the Fly Mart tomorrow with Jake, buddy Jake from down in Chicago.
Yeah.
And then there's all these other fundraising options. Sell mulligans before leagues, at certain tournaments. Hold a tournament and just flat out say, entry fee this week is, for this tournament is $20, and $5 or $10 of that is going straight to course improvements. I feel like you're taxing the guys that are probably there supporting you in the course to begin with the most, but that's what disc golf unfortunately has been built on.
Yeah.
Is a few people doing a lot of the work, raising most of the money, so a few others can either wreck it or complain. Sorry if that's negative, but that's the truth. And mulligans, yes, like we said. I wish the guys who run the doubles leagues would put some money into the signs. They are the ones who keep moving the pins around every week. Yeah, maybe. That may or may not be their initiative or their motive to put up new signs. It can be frustrating, especially for a guy like myself. I've put up a number of signs at a number of courses, and they get destroyed within the first couple weeks or couple months, and it kind of lets the air out of your sails, the wind out of your sails, because you work hard to do this, and then somebody vandalizes or steals or destroys the signs. So it kind of makes it hard to stay excited about it. So, yeah. Anybody got any other good stuff for us? Keep it question. We instead of Disc Golf Answer Man, let's be Disc Golf Answer Men.
Answer Men. Because we got to find some men.
No.
We're not that manly.
No.
That's the joke.
Oh.
You and I aren't manly.
Oh. I'm plenty manly.
Yeah.
Not really.
No.
Not
Neither
really.
of us.
Not really. Durko, I hope you're out there working. You shouldn't be on here smashboxing. It's 1:30 in the morning your time in Michigan. I was going to say Minnesota.
Yeah, shouldn't you be out doing Am World stuff?
Yeah, you should be working is what you should be doing, not Durkoing. You should be working. You got stuff at the Fly Mart tomorrow?
Oh, I got excited for a second. Disc Golf Planet updated their cover photo.
What's it say? Let's read it live on the air 2 hours ago. Maybe they heard us asking about it during our
2015
broadcast.
PDGA Professional Disc Golf World Championships, August 1st through 8th, exclusively on Disc Golf Planet TV.
Exclusively? Okay. So if you click on that, No questions.
click on
Yeah, so usually there will be people usually ask a lot of
Yeah,
questions.
someone asked on the web board on Disc Golf Course Review if there was going to be anybody filming at Worlds. And I said, I think all your major people will be there filming. It just depends on, I'm assuming Disc Golf Planet has rights to the lead card, whether or not they're going to allow another filming crew there to do post-edited rounds and things like that. But there will be people on other groups. So
I've always felt the best thing about disc golf is some of the people, and the worst thing about disc golf is some of the people. That's a good way to put it. I'm in the West Virginia State Championships next week. Okay. I only say that many of the holes you can't see. The bucket is located. Yeah, I agree.
I guess. I don't know.
Blind baskets can be tough, and that's why tee signs can be great. Durko is painting. I don't know if you're painting now or this week, but I'm sure you're doing a good job of it. Luke quoted me saying, "A few guys doing all of the work so others can complain. DG guy, this should be a meme." Yeah, maybe. Artwork for Am World's Fly Mart. He's clarified. What's your filming schedule going to be like? Where you at right now?
Like right now, what's our filming schedule for Am Worlds? We don't know. We're gonna go there and figure it out. What's our filming schedule? Every Tuesday night, we're filming here.
Yeah.
And we're working on Ledgestone. We're working on details on what we want to do for Ledgestone. Other than that, we don't really have anything else in the hopper.
Yeah, I've had a few people reach out to me over this weekend, talked about Disc Golf Guy coverage. They didn't seem too hopeful on the live coverage because of the cost, but Disc Golf Guy video blog coverage I think is going to be in full swing for this fall. And I've got a few exciting opportunities on the horizon that hopefully I'll be in a town near you covering some solid event that's going on. What is the most unique thing, an event that you have witnessed at a Fly Mart?
Yeah, what's the most unique thing / event that you have witnessed?
Well, let me tell you the most annoying thing at a Fly Mart, and that is the heat. It is always sweaty and smelly and disgusting in almost every Fly Mart. I've been to literally 25 or so Fly Marts, and they always stink. Always. They're always smelly and hot. It's just people. It's always in the summertime. There's people that have been golfing all day that didn't have a chance to shower. I've probably been one more than once.
Yeah, we talked about this last week.
I know we did, but yeah, that's the most annoying thing. Most unique. I mean, we've seen shirts get stamped out, so to speak, at Worlds.
Yeah.
It's not unique anymore, but Innova used to give away T-shirts every year. If you went up as, you could go buy a mini from someone, but then get a coupon to go get a free T-shirt from Innova. Innova has supported the Worlds in that capacity in a number of years. What else? I'll call it out. I'll say the Worlds in 2007 that I was TD of, we gave away an 18-hole course.
Yeah, that was
during the Fly Mart.
That was pretty nice.
We had.
They did that the next year too, didn't they?
Yeah, they copied us every year. No, I think they gave away like 2 9-hole courses, or another 18-hole course or something like that. But
sure.
And I know that program has switched up through the years, but I think that was one of the cool things that happened.
Steve Winslow says, "Terry, go play some Magic the Gathering tournaments. You'll appreciate the low odor level at the Fly Mart." Very true.
I believe it.
That's calling out some nerds.
Yeah.
I liked, and I have it. It's behind this thing. They had someone doing caricatures on blank discs.
Yeah, what was that? Kansas City? No, where was that?
I have no clue. I don't remember. I remember the booth, but I don't remember where the Am Worlds was.
It was in Am Worlds.
It was in Am Worlds.
Well,
it might have been Michigan. In 2000.
That one. Okay, I was gonna say 2008. What disc is it on? Is it on
it's
a
an
rock?
AVR.
AVR.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's behind the sheet here, or behind their backdrop. And I really liked it. I thought it was cool. The guy was doing it. You bought the disc, and then I think you paid $20.
Sure.
And the guy just sat there, and it was like a 5-minute process. He just sat and drew a little quick caricature on a blank disc.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really freaking cool. So
Well, you should probably. I'll dig it out. Hold on.
So I can get it.
I got it.
You're gonna knock this down. I guarantee it.
You think I'm gonna knock it down?
Probably.
No, I won't.
Because I think it's like towards the middle here.
What's behind the curtain?
What's behind the curtain?
Well,
It'd be funny if it weren't really there.
I don't see it.
It's there somewhere.
It's got to be the very top right. No, and that's not.
I might have moved it.
I think you
I mean,
moved it.
but it's still behind here, but I don't know where now.
I don't see it anywhere.
I'm gonna hide behind the curtain.
I'm not sure it's on that wall. No, because it's right here.
Is it?
Yes.
I did move it. Son of a gun.
It should have maybe it should have a year on here. Well, it's got a Mace Man.
It's got a Mace Man stamp because it's
sticker.
a Mace Man. It was a blank putter, but I think I want to say it was 2000 Worlds.
Well, it's for all you people that know and care out there. It's a San Marino AVR putter with a Mace Man back stamp or bottom stamp.
Bottom stamp.
So that would say probably early 2000s.
Yeah.
And it's funny you did it and I didn't.
No, I don't know why you didn't do it either. Like, it made no sense to me. I just thought it was the coolest thing. I'm like, and I'd only been going to Worlds for 2 years, I believe 2 or 3 years at that point, and I thought, well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I had one done.
And you can't read.
No, I think that's his signature.
Probably that's what it's. No indicator of years, but I mean there is a little indication in that it's got the Innova UPC code, which they put on. I mean that wasn't happening in the 90s.
Is this a valuable disc?
No.
This putt and approach?
I mean it's an AVR San Marino AVR. San Marino tooling. I mean I'm guessing no. I think it's maybe,
I don't care anyway. I'm not getting rid of it.
I'm guessing 20. No, I bet you put that up for auction. You get you get
Who wants the Jonny
hundreds
V
and hundreds of
disc?
pennies voted on that.
So yeah, so I think this is one of the cooler things I've seen. We have seen. I thought one year someone did like a speed gun at a fly mart.
Yeah, I think we've seen that, and I think that's gonna be relatively commonplace. Only because now I think Discraft owns a speed gun. Innova
Sure.
and the Flying Circus own a speed gun. I think.
Yeah.
I think Prodigy owns a speed gun. I mean, now those have become more and more common. I think at one time DGA owned or has a speed gun. So I think those have become more and more common. It's a good question. Unique. I mean, like I said, we give away 18 baskets. I thought that was pretty darn unique. At the time, we were the first Worlds to do
Correct.
something of that nature, which coincidentally went on to be the Rolling Ridge baskets that we were.
Yeah, those are the Rolling
The
Ridge.
course we ended up just talking about. So
Oh, here's the other thing about Rolling Ridge.
yes,
No.
we brought that one back.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it to you. They have their baskets backwards.
A lot of them don't face the right way.
No, not just that. Their shorts are orange.
Oh yeah.
Their
That's
mediums
argument.
are
red.
and their longs are black.
Correct, and therefore logic being
Their long ones should be orange so that they're easier to see, because there was a couple times on those blind holes people have to run up and be like, oh, where's that basket? If it were orange, it would be much easier to see in a longer position.
especially because it's a very wooded course.
Because it's an extremely wooded course. Now, I'm not arguing with pin placements. I just think they should reverse the colors.
I understand.
And I understand the concept like black diamond, hardest. It kind of goes along with that. But it would make way more sense to have the orange be the long ones. That was my
Yeah,
that was one of my things that was
and
playing.
unfortunately that also conflicts with their T-pad configuration in the sense that they've also, I mean,
Yeah.
their T-pads they've deemed the blacks are the toughest, the orange are the middle, and the reds are the shortest.
Correct.
They've deemed that, which is kind of interesting because if you really think about it, a lot of times when you're talking about PDGA standards, you hear gold level,
Yep.
you hear blue level, you hear white level.
Yep.
Those are and then red. Those are the main PDGA standards when you're talking by PDGA color coding. Chuck, I know you're listening somewhere, but those are the main standards that you hear. So the fact that they went with red, orange, and black
Yeah.
is
And I think
unique to them as
Yeah,
well.
they went with red because they were red baskets.
Correct.
That's what they
yeah.
won.
They
so.
won blood red Mach 3 baskets as the Am Worlds fundraiser. You bought a disc for $20 or $25, and everyone you purchased entered you into this raffle. And there was a maximum of 1,000 made, and I know we didn't sell a full 1,000. but there was a maximum of so many made, and in doing so, and it ended up being Marcus Prue, who's then ended up partnering up with the Rolling Ridge owner, who didn't own the property at the time, but eventually bought the property, and that's where they were planted.
Yeah. But
So
that's my other little beef. Just it was off the top of my
fair
head.
enough.
Just if you do put in multiple baskets in different colors, make the easiest ones to see the furthest ones away.
That seems like good logic.
Yeah. I'm not too far off my rocker.
No,
Just a little bit.
I could buy that for $1.
So.
All
right.
Yeah, I think that's we're getting close to it. Unless anybody's got anything else that we haven't touched on. Oh, maybe another Pro-Am doubles match at Megiddo or Megiddo. Yeah, Megiddo. Timber Ridge got AC this year. Thank you. I heard that as well. I know Larry LeBon told us that the Timber Ridge got air conditioning. So I do hope it's cooler for you guys over there. This may be one of the few times, but I know like the Pro Worlds also in
They said
Crown Point was ridiculous. Central or Highbridge Hills was also hot. That was up at a hotel. Usually they're at hotels in a ballroom, so in theory you think, oh no, but then they pack so many golfers in there and so much other stuff.
Yep.
It's hard to walk, let alone have any air circulate.
If Highbridge Hills was more centrally located in the state, say 30 minutes from Milwaukee or Madison, do you feel it'd be more popular nationally? Yes.
Oh, it would be.
It would be
one of the most traveled to destinations in disc golf.
Correct. It would be almost like a mecca.
Yeah.
But
it would be, especially knowing by the geography you just said, within 30 minutes of Madison or Milwaukee, and then knowing, for instance, that it's less than 2.5 or 3 hours from Crown Point, which features 3 or 4 courses in one park.
Yeah.
Knowing you could play 8 to 10 to 12 of the greatest courses, in the Midwest, and you can do them within a few hours of each other.
Yeah.
And you have things like Rolling Ridge nearby. You have Gray Fox. You have Squaw Creek in Illinois now, the new one. Yeah, absolutely. They'd be millionaires. I would buy a part of that company at that point. But the fact that they're located in northern Wisconsin and they have 400 acres, that's just short of the North Pole or wherever they are, Antarctica somewhere. It's a long ways away, so geography is not on their side.
Are we playing glow doubles on Friday night?
Oh, that would be kind of funny.
Is it bring your own partner? Terry and I just show up and play glow doubles?
I will admit I played once. I met the wonderful Austin and Brittany this weekend. Over in Kalamazoo, I showed up. I was doing some signal testing, and then somebody said, well, you want to go out and throw some glow? And I was like, no, not really. And they're like, oh, I got a disc. I'm like, all right. So I went out and we played 4 or 5 holes, had a lot of fun just with one disc. And they were talking about getting some organized glow doubles together, and I thought that would be kind of fun. But glow doubles, the problem is, where's that at, Durko? First of all, where's it at? And where I don't know if they'd let us play. I mean, not saying because we're good. I'm saying because we're not part of the tournament.
We're not part of the event.
I'm not sure if it's a full exhibition or not.
Yeah. Yes, it's bring your own partner.
Ooh, I don't know.
You might be able to find a better partner.
I was just gonna say.
It's at Colebrook, though. I mean,
I don't think it's at Colebrook. I think it's somewhere else. Because I remember hearing it and thinking, yeah, Colebrook sounds appealing, but I'm pretty sure it's somewhere else. What eggs? What does that have to? What does that mean? Eggs, Michael. What do you?
Maybe that's what he's having for breakfast because that's how late we are.
Glow doubles. Good night, you guys. Got to get up in the morning. Sorry.
No, I'm just looking at what the model of this is.
Oh, why?
Because I'm curious.
So we got working hard. Be good and I are in. It's at Vicksburg. Oh, Brett Good. Took me a second there. Good thing.
And they're not part of.
I had that filed in my. It's not part of Am Worlds, huh? Vicksburg. There is a pro division. Well, I'm not saying we should play pro either.
Can't really get there, and then suddenly, like, Macbeth is going to show up. Like, I always wanted to play some Am World. Like,
yeah, some dubs. Yeah, if I can convince Macbeth to play with it, I'm going to message him right now. You and me, glow dubs?
No.
That would be kind of funny. Luke H. says, any off-the-course advice for someone attending their first NT next month? Yeah,
Turn off your phone.
Get better.
No, off the course advice. I think he's just attending it. I don't think he's playing it. Just off the course advice. No, just if you're just watching and just attending it, just turn off your phone. Cheer. Definitely cheer.
Bring a foghorn. After every made putt, of course. I mean, don't do it at an inappropriate time.
No, do it at inappropriate times.
No, because then you'll get for sure booted out. But if you do it only at appropriate times, like what? He just made that 30-footer.
That was great.
Little air horn action. Info on disc golf scene. Yeah, let me hit up Paul real quick. Just reach out. Maybe and Paul Macbeth playing here with a photo opportunity, I see, with the young gun I spoke of earlier from Norway.
Oh, he is playing. Oh, so you're looking for any off the course advice for playing? He plans on taking down Macbeth. First,
good call.
Hit him with your car. That's the only way you're taking him down.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, no, not really. I mean, just relax. I sometimes get nervous in my first hole, especially at like an NT. Throw a couple warm-up shots. Eat a good breakfast. That's about it. That's all I got. This is Zoe's alley. This is what she's good for.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Getting to 0.
Yeah, good point. I would get Zotron on it. I mean, I could repeat what every pro on the planet tells you. I mean, if we really wanted to, stick to your game plan, practice your shots, play inside your own game. Forget bad holes quickly. Go through your routine, stick to your routine. I'm trying to think. I want to make a list of just everything they say. And I'm not picking on them, because if that's what they believe and that's what they follow, they're the best in the world. I almost am getting sick of asking them that, though. Maybe because it's so predictable as to what they're going to say.
Yeah.
But you also kind of sort of feel obligated, like those are the questions you're supposed to ask. But I guess, because you got to remember, not everybody's tuned into every single time you've ever interviewed them. But a lot of them say the exact same thing over and over and over again. I don't know. Maybe there's an answer for that. I guess maybe there's just a different spin on it. I was going to say, I think I'd get more bored if I was like a basketball reporter. But they just phrase their questions a little bit differently. Oh, your jumper was on tonight, or your layups. Oh, you didn't shoot well from the line. I guess you just phrase your questions differently. I'm trying to think of like if it would get boring, because I feel like basketball's on a court, and it's just 2 hoops back and forth.
Oh, he meant not in terms of golfing, but attending the extra stuff. I'm assuming you're talking about, I don't know what NT you're talking about, maybe Ledgestone?
Yeah, not the cookie cutter stuff. I was going to say cookie putter stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. There you go, Durko. Go to all make sure you go to the players meeting and pay attention. That's more important than just going. Because even our top players love to go to the players meeting. They love to stand around in the back.
And then talk with each other. And not only are they paying zero attention to what's going on, they're in the process of disrupting the rest of the people.
Yeah. It's definitely one of my number one pet peeves. You don't want to be there because you're too cool. Fine. You don't want to be there and you want to socialize. Go do it so everyone else cannot hear you. And what are you telling your teammate that's so effing important and cool that is more important than the player meeting for the event you're about to be in? I don't know.
I don't know either.
Keep your course guide in your bag. That's also a very good tip. A lot of people get player guides
and then
unfortunately
leave them in their hotel room, or
it's in a bag in your hotel room.
Yeah, I would say as far as attending the extra stuff, if they have it, sure. I don't know. There's probably going to be a player, like a clinic of some sort. You can go to that, but the NTs, most of the NTs, like, I don't know if Ledgestone is set for all like the extra stuff that you sometimes see at Maple Hill or bowling, or not Bowling Green, GBO. I don't know. I'm not familiar.
I mean, like, yeah, GBO had a ton of extra things to go do.
Yeah.
And I personally feel like you should participate in all of them.
As much as you can.
I mean, yeah, as much as you can, of course. But I think it's cool. I think that's what makes part of the experience. But are you there to win? Or are you there to, maybe you're one of those guys that's like, oh my gosh, I just played 18 holes. If I want to play well tomorrow, I need to go get 10 hours of sleep. Well, then go do that, obviously. But I feel like being there and being social is so much of the fun.
Yeah, I that's what I prefer to do.
I think everyone should challenge themselves to not talk golf. I think that's an interesting. I had a conversation with a good friend recently, and he had.
We should try that next week on the podcast.
But he had said, he's like, I love traveling with so and so because that individual doesn't care about talking golf. We could play for 8 hours, and then get in the car and have a 2-hour drive, and he doesn't care if we talk about golf or not. And
that's tough.
It's tough, but it's also I think a little bit refreshing too sometimes.
Oh yeah, it definitely is.
So pretty crazy. And did something happen in Madison again? Wow. So in Madison, Wisconsin, it looks like there was some brutal acts of violence out at one of the parks. And I guess coincidentally, someone had unfortunately taken their own life at the tournament last year. Not a disc golfer, but
the night before
the
they
tournament,
found someone in who had hung themselves in a tree, I believe is what people
Yeah.
had said. And now looks like someone who had been shot and stabbed at Token Creek, a different park. Because last year it was
Capital Springs
that had it. This Token Creek, so.
Crazy. And by the way, these are great neighborhoods and
this isn't like a
not necessarily something where you would expect this to happen. So this is out of the ordinary, but wow, definitely harsh to read and to see. All right, go to the player meeting. Keep your player ID on you. That's a great one, especially for Am Worlds this year, because I think there's a lot of things that are tied to your ID. And some people only talk about disc golf, that's for sure. Yes. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to finally call it. We do appreciate you guys chiming in and participating with us. This is, it's been great to have you guys. Hopefully we give you, in 4 hours, I hope we give you some morsels of legitimacy.
Find something.
And something useful.
If you can't find something in this 4 hours, then...
Is it their fault or ours at that point?
It's theirs.
Yeah, because in 4 hours, we said something at least remotely insightful or helpful.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we put the blame on them if you guys can't figure it out. All right. So for everyone out on the board for our after show, there's a bunch of you that tuned in. We appreciate it. For Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, this has been Podcast 45's after show. We will see you guys next week after our amateur world champions have been crowned, and we'll probably talk to one of them when we step inside the Smash Box.